After 5 years of dating, Ji Yanchuan and I were always arguing whether it's something as small as buying him a shirt or as serious as calling the police to drive away that leech-like uncle of his. No matter what I do, he's never satisfied. We were still arguing even when the car accident happened. A large truck came rushing toward us, and Ji Yanchuan shielded me in his arms just before he died. He said, "Song Liyue, loving you has been too exhausting. In the next life, you should find a young master from a family of equal standing to marry." When I opened my eyes again, I was back in high school, and he was still that dirt-poor kid who came to our class just for the money. I looked at the cold, distant eyes on the podium. Text my dad, "I agree to the family marriage you mentioned before. Also, after the college entrance exam, I'm going abroad." The person on stage is still introducing themselves. A few cold, curt words were enough to send the girls in the audience into a frenzy of screams. It's simple. Ji Yanchuan is just incredibly good-looking. Only then did I, born into privilege and looking down on everyone, take a hard fall. Looking back now, Ji Yanchuan wasn't a bad person. He would make me brown sugar water during my period and stay up all night taking care of me when I had the flu. Most of the time, we get along quite well, but when it comes to his family and mine, we always end up arguing. On the verge of death, I finally understood that this was probably the clash of worldviews brought about by our different upbringings. I grew up in luxury, getting whatever I wanted, but Ji Yanchuan was raised by his grandmother. Before he succeeded in his business, he relied on the kindness of many and sought help from countless people. The world he saw was fundamentally different from mine, so in this second chance at life, I've decided to let him go, and to let myself go as well. When the teacher said there was an empty seat next to me, I was about to refuse. Ji Yanchuan said, "No, I want to sit next to that classmate." The person he was pointing at was the only one in the class who wasn't as well off, and who would go on to be tangled up with us for half a lifetime. His childhood sweetheart from the same village, Jiananan. Jiananan's face flushed bright red as she hurriedly tidied up her seat in a fluster. Ji Yanchuan brushed past me and shot me a glance. I knew then that he, too, had been reborn. He chose to pretend not to know me, deliberately avoiding any intersection with my life. Somehow, I felt a quiet sense of relief, yet there was also a hint of suppressed frustration. He avoided looking at Jiananan as she cautiously tried to talk to him. I grabbed a sanitary pad from my bag and went to the restroom. When I came back, there was a bottle of water on the table. The male classmate in front smiled. "This is a thank you gift for helping me with my homework last time." He touched it and felt a slight chill. "It just so happens to ease the discomfort in my heart." Twisted off the cap, ready to drink, Ji Yanchuan walked over and took the bottle away. He was a bit annoyed. "Don't you know that drinking this during your period will give you a stomachache?" Another accusatory tone. In our past life, it was always like this. He could never say a kind word without it coming out harsh and biting. I'm used to being proud, so I'll snap back immediately. Back and forth, their words clashed like a fight. This time I didn't feel like it, so I just gave a soft alright, I won't drink it now. I'll wait until it warms up a bit." Instead, it left Ji Yanchuan momentarily stunned. He had never seen me so calm before, and he stood there holding the bottle, unsure whether to put it down or keep it. I let out a sigh, recalling the dimness in his eyes before he died, and decided to soften my heart one last time. "Thank you for your kindness, Ji. Just hand me the drink." It was a thoughtful gift from Zhao. Ji Yanchuan's eyes flickered, and he put down his drink before walking away. As evening fell, my classmates gradually left school and headed home. While waiting for the driver, someone slipped a note into my hand. Opening it, I saw the message, "Song Liyue, I know you've been reborn too. This time around, I'm begging you to let me go. I just want to study hard and work well in the future. I don't want to argue every day, and I especially don't want to live under someone else's thumb. Please give me back my peace. Consider it repayment for saving your life." My eyes are sore and dry. That Ji Yanchuan just had to take it this far. After tossing the note into the trash, I used the number he left in his self-introduction to send him a message. "Alright, I promise you." Then, block all his contact information too. At 17, Ji Yanchuan lived in his uncle's basement. His uncle's family took the compensation money from his parents' car accident and brought him home. In a 3-bedroom, 1-living-room house, all that was left for him was a space no bigger than the palm of a hand. In summer, it's so stuffy and hot that I can't sleep all night long. In my past life, after I fell for him and learned that he was being bullied by his uncle, I first splashed out on buying him an apartment and ordering nutritious meals, then hired a lawyer to take his uncle to court. Ji Yanchuan's senior year of high school should have been a chaotic whirlwind. I couldn't stand by and watch, So I shielded him from the storms, allowing him to focus on his studies and eventually get into Tsinghua University. Ji Yanchuan appreciated my efforts and agreed to my pursuit after the start of our freshman year. I've always been domineering, never caring about others' well-being when I want something, whether he's grateful or trying to repay a debt. All that matters is that I got him in the end, but I underestimated human greed. I've had Ji Yanchuan's body, and now I want his heart. He has a mild temperament and seems to have no desires or ambitions. I used my own money to set up a company for him, helped him start his business and land clients successfully, and then I began to think about marrying him and having children. The day she gathered her girlfriends to propose to him, Ji Yanchuan, sharp in his suit, had just closed the series of funding round. He looked at the array of cameras and my hesitant eyes, then suddenly smiled with a strange expression. He asked me, "Song Liyue, are you never going to let me go for the rest of my life?" I thought he was whispering sweet nothings, so I quickly nodded. "Yes, I love you. I will never let you go in this lifetime. Yanchuan, let's get married." He blinked, his expression caught between a sob and a smile. Later, Jiananan told me that what I was doing made it seem like I was looking for a live-in son-in-law. Brother Yanchuan is working so hard to climb the social ladder just to shake off a rich girl like you. Do you have any idea how much it hurts him every time he goes out to close a deal and people mock him for riding on a woman's coattails? I couldn't listen to it, thinking it was just Jiananan's self-righteous words, because in both daily life and intimate moments, Ji Yanchuan never showed any sign of impatience. I attributed some of our arguments and conflicts to the need for emotional adjustment. Once we've settled into each other, life will surely be sweeter. It wasn't until Ji Yanchuan confessed during the car accident that I realized he loved me, but he resented the burden that came with loving me. I've been selfish my whole life, but this time, I'll stay far away from him. After discussing the study abroad plans with my dad at home, he was very pleased. "I told you long ago that the Gu boy is a good match for you. He's not as stunningly handsome as his older brother, but with you, he's still a pretty good match. You two are going abroad together, spending day and night with each other. Sooner or later, feelings will develop. Once you finish your studies, come work at your dad's company. I've been building this business all these years just so you could have an easier life. From now on, just follow the steps, secure your position as the president of the Song Corporation, then get married and have a child that will make your father truly content." 3. I followed my father's advice and began the procedures to take a leave of absence from school and go abroad. "Since it will take some time, just continue with your school courses for now." After his rebirth, Ji Yanchuan still lived in the attic, dressed in tattered clothes. Without me bothering him, he studied even harder and ranked first in the school on his first monthly exam. Ji Yanchuan was overjoyed when he received the 10,000 yuan scholarship. He instinctively looked at me, only to find me talking to Lu Wenyue, a boy in the back row. His family fell from grace, his mother was diagnosed with cancer, and his father ran off with debts. I placed a card worth 200,000 on his desk. My dad said this is a small token of his appreciation. Lu Wenyao lowered his head, his eyes rimmed with red. "Song Liyue, so this is what it feels like to be sponsored. Pretty humiliating." I chuckled softly and said, "Life's bound to have its rough patches. There's no shame in getting a helping hand when you hit one." He looked at me, with tears in the corners of his eyes. "Really? Well, self-respect is something you earn yourself, not something others can coax out of you with a few words." He thought for a moment, then put the card into his bag. "Thank you. If there's ever a chance, I will definitely repay your kindness." "Okay, I'll be waiting for you." We exchanged a smile, and Lu Wenyao's mood lifted a little. During my lunch break, I was dragged into the woods by Ji Yanchuan while heading to the restroom. He looked down at me with a dark, brooding expression. "I heard that kid's family went bankrupt. You're giving him money. Do you have a thing for him, Song Liyue? Do you always enjoy picking up men this way, watching a down-and-out guy look at you pleadingly for help? Does that give you some kind of twisted thrill?" His voice trembled. "Can't have me, so you go find another man. Can't you survive without a relationship?" I looked at him. "It's none of your business." "Ji Yanchuan, you're overstepping." Ji Yanchuan was taken aback. I gently pushed him away, my tone still calm. "I helped classmate Lu because our families have known each other since we were kids. The money was given to him by my father. It has nothing to do with me. Not every man is worthy of my support. Also, don't support a man who is poor in spirit. This is a lesson learned through 2 lifetimes of blood and tears." Without looking at Ji Yanchuan's pale face, she turned and left. Ji Yanchuan's hoarse voice called out from behind, "Li Yu, do you hate me?" he never got his answer, for back in the classroom, I saw a message from my dad. He said all the formalities are done, and he's already spoken to the teacher, so we can leave directly after school this afternoon. The teacher asked if I wanted to say goodbye to my classmates. I thought about it for a moment and decided it wasn't necessary. After college, I barely kept in touch with any of them, and even when we did reconnect, they always sided with Ji Yanchuan, accusing me of being domineering and overbearing. There's no need to stay in touch with people like that, so I packed everything into my backpack, ready to leave as soon as school was over. Just as she finished packing her textbooks, Jiananan walked over. Her nose was red, and her face was full of grievance. Song Liyue, what did you say to Ji Yanchuan? Why does he want to switch seats? Me, how should I know? I saw you two going into the woods together after school at noon. You must have bullied him and thrown money at him. That's why he doesn't dare to be with me. Jiananan was on the verge of tears. Why do you have to throw such tantrums? I know your family has some money, but that's no big deal. Xingchuan and I grew up in the same village. His mother even once said I should be his wife. Brother Xingchuan is such a good person, and now he's being bullied by someone like you. I really feel it's not worth it for him. Her voice was so loud that several classmates around her could hear it. Hearing this, they gathered around and chimed in with a few words of persuasion. Song Liyue, you've always been difficult to get along with, but Ji Yanchuan is Jiananan's boyfriend. You shouldn't stoop so low. Having money doesn't make you that great. Who knows how your dad got it, bullying people like that. Watch out, karma's coming for you. My face darkened when I heard someone cursing my father. He stepped forward and slapped Jiananan across the face. Shut your mouth and stop talking nonsense. Who has time for your broke-ass love stories? I just want to stay as far away as possible. Scared to death of catching your bad luck. What a jinx. The air suddenly fell silent, and everyone turned their heads in unison to look behind. As far as the eye could see, Ji Yanchuan was standing right there. He clearly heard what I said, and his face grew even darker. Song Liyue, you've gone too far. You're always like this, looking down on me and bullying the people around me. It's truly disgusting to watch. Just a moment ago, I thought you might change. I even wondered if I was partly to blame for everything in the past, but seeing you now, it's clear you have no intention of repenting. I looked at him coldly. What did I do wrong, Ji Yuchuan? Do you even know what we were just arguing about? No matter what the argument is about, it's definitely your fault. You've always been like this your whole life, like a spoiled child. Ji Yanchuan grew angrier as he spoke, pulling me forward. Now, apologize to Anan. Why should I? Just because you're wrong. Slap. I smacked him right across the face. Nor is it as gentle as before. Ji Yanchuan, I must have been blind, brain dead, and cursed by 18 generations of bad luck to have ever fallen for someone like you. Listen up, I'm not apologizing to Jiananan. Don't you dare touch me again, or I'll call the police. 5 Ji Yanchuan and I parted on bad terms. He dragged Jiananan away in a huff. I packed my things and got into the butler's car. Since my flight wasn't until the afternoon the next day, I took my time packing. Gu Huainan, the second young master of the Gu family who's planning to go abroad with me, came by for a chat and didn't leave until after 8 in the evening. After seeing him home, I was about to go inside. Just then, a noise came from outside the house. Turning my head, I saw Ji Yanchuan. He had no idea how he ended up here. With a bottle of milk tea in his hand, he awkwardly turned his head away when he saw me. A classmate told me later about what happened this afternoon. I misunderstood you, and I apologize. He handed me the milk tea, grape slush with 30% sugar, just as I had once told him, but this time, I didn't take it. I just looked at him indifferently. Ji Yanchuan, you know what? I actually don't like drinking this stuff. The reason I told you I liked it is because it's cheap and you can afford it. When I act cute and ask you to buy it for me, you won't feel burdened. The funny thing is, Ji Yanchuan misunderstood me for a lifetime. Even later, when he had a 9-figure net worth, he still liked buying it for me. Sometimes I can't tell if he really doesn't get it or is just pretending not to. Why does he still want me to live a hard life with him even though he has money? I worked so hard to help him rise to power. Wasn't it all so I could enjoy life? As I always say, we just don't see eye to eye. I forced this bitter fruit upon myself, and I accept this retribution. After everything was laid out, Ji Ichuan's face turned pale inch by inch. He gave a bitter smile. How much trouble did you go through just to protect my pride? I shrugged. More than you'd think. For instance, I use 4-figure bedsheets now, but when I'm with you, I always shop the clearance racks. Take my mattress. It's custom made, over 200,000. Before we got married, I already had several cases of jewelry, all bought by my dad. After we tied the knot, you never bought me any of that. And another thing, if I hadn't met you back then, the person I was supposed to marry through an arranged alliance would have been a young master from a prestigious family. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. And his lifestyle was even more extravagant than mine. All I'd have to do is enjoy myself. Ji Chuan laughed again, but it was more bitter than tears. So it seems, being with me has really made you suffer. You bet. That's why I agree with what you said. Let's not keep tangling with each other in this lifetime. You go your way, and I'll go mine. Let's never see each other again. 6. That day, Ji Yanchuan was so humiliated by me that he was left speechless. My legs were trembling as I left. I stopped worrying about him, had a good night's sleep, and flew abroad the next day. Studying abroad is just as simple as I imagined. My dad had already prepared a house and a car, and I received language education from a very young age. Traveling abroad was a common occurrence for us, so moving to another country felt completely natural. I didn't feel the slightest bit out of place. Gu Huainan was a laid-back rich kid who loved doing everything except studying, and spending time with him was always a joy. It's a pity we just didn't have that spark. We tried dating for a while, but it fizzled out in the end. Not long after, he found a girlfriend who was going abroad through a work-study program. I heard he's deeply in love, spending every day revolving around her. I warned her gently, worldviews are set in stone, beware, falling in love is easy, but staying together is the hard part. Gu Huainan retorted indignantly, why are you just like my mom? Let me tell you, I love Xiao Xiao, and I'm willing to make any compromise for her. Alright, I'll stop trying to talk him out of it and just enjoy watching him fall flat on his face. Lu Wenyue occasionally tells me about things back home. He said that after I went abroad, Ji Yanchuan was so shocked that he almost trashed the teacher's office. After learning that I was going abroad to study, he sat in silence for a long time. Then he studied like crazy, almost always reading a book even while walking. Ji Yanchuan's uncle is a real piece of work. He snatched away the scholarships the school awarded several times. Ji Yanchuan couldn't afford to eat, so he had to work part-time while attending classes. Exhausted and unable to keep up, he nearly fainted in the cafeteria several times. Fortunately, I still got into my dream university. Once settled into coursework at Tsinghua or Peking University, I began exploring entrepreneurship. Lu Wenyao said, you have to admit, Ji Yanchuan is pretty impressive. He took out $1 million loan to start his business, and I heard his monthly revenue is already in the 6 figures. He was already very accomplished in his past life. Most of the time, I just helped him connect with some bigger deals that could take him to the next level, but the credit for the major achievements was all his. That Jiananan is always by his side. I hear they come and go together, but Ji Yanchuan says she's not his girlfriend. I don't want to hear any of that. As long as I know Ji Yanchuan is no longer living a hard life, that's enough. We were married once, so let's part ways amicably. In the days that followed, I stopped gossiping. With more free time in my junior year, I began taking on company projects. Unlike ordinary entrepreneurs starting a business, we, as second-generation heirs, mostly build through resource exchange. The second young master of the Gu family already has a girlfriend, so a marriage alliance is off the table. But my father wants to deepen our business cooperation with the Gu family, so he set his sights on the eldest young master instead. He said, sweetheart, I've asked around for you, and they're willing. Although Gu Shiyu is 5 years older than you, he's truly remarkable. Not only did he skip grades throughout his childhood, but after taking over the Gu Corporation, he tripled the business. He's open to getting to know you. Want to give it a try? I recalled that Gu family's eldest brother, who was even more handsome than Ji Yanchuan. Back then, I didn't dare to even dream of a celestial being like him. So I settled for someone who looked about 50% like him and was actually attainable. Who would have thought that after all this time, the goddess would finally be mine? 7. On the day of the blind date, I dolled myself up real nice, but the moment Gu Shiyu appeared, even the lavish restaurant seemed to lose its luster. He was truly born with an air of nobility, dressed in a bespoke suit, exuding an extraordinary presence. When he saw me, he politely handed over the latest Dior bracelet and said, Sister Liua, long time no see. That's cheating. With such a stunningly handsome face, he calls me sister right off the bat. I could hear my heart racing. When I looked up, Gu Shiyu was staring at me with burning intensity. With our families being well matched and both of us having a bit of a spark, our relationship moved forward quickly. Within less than a month, we had confirmed our relationship and gotten our marriage certificate. Gu Shiyu handed me a 9-figure business deal, gifted me a villa in Paris, and countless pieces of jewelry. I'm not particularly sensitive to material things, but when someone throws money at me like there's no tomorrow, I can't help but feel a shiver run through me. Gu Shiyu lowered his head to kiss me and slipped a ring onto my finger. You are my wife, you deserve the best things in this world. Dazed and wanting to laugh, I couldn't help but kiss him back. Thank you, big brother. What do you call me, brother? My dear brother. Damn, we need to get the marriage certificate fast, or I won't be able to control myself, hee, because Gu Shiyu is currently negotiating a major project in Northern Europe. The wedding has been postponed for now. While he was away on a business trip, I made a trip back to China. My dad found business too tough in recent years, so he shut down the company and moved overseas. Outsiders don't know the truth and think my family's business is in trouble. I met up with my old classmate Lu Wenjiao, and he asked me about it too before I could even speak. A familiar voice came from behind me. Whoa, isn't this our high and mighty Miss Song? Why are you dressed so plainly? I turned around and saw Ji Yanchuan and Jiananan. They seemed to be at a class reunion too, surrounded by familiar faces. Ji Yanchuan's gaze was fixed intently on me, his expression churning with intense emotion. Haven't seen him in years. He's really matured, dressed in a designer suit. It's clear he's doing well for himself. Beside her, Jiananan was the same, with LV bags, YSL jewelry, and a bunch of designer labels draped all over her. Seeing how plainly I was dressed, she repeated herself. I said, fortunes change. I heard your Song family business has shut down. Are you broke? And that's why you've come back looking for brother Yanchuan? Lu Wenyue was so angry that he wanted to speak up for me, but I stopped him, then raised an eyebrow and glanced at Jiananan. Yeah, I came back for a second bite of the apple. Ji Yanchuan, do you still want me? Ji Yanchuan froze, his eyes burning with intensity. He said nothing, surrounded by sneers. What are you thinking? You made it all sound so nice back then. Wasn't it you who said it? Called us poor losers? Bad luck. What can we do about it? Now that you're broke, you'll have to watch our faces. The one who said this was Chen Chuan, the same person who once accused my father of having dirty money. He looked like a sycophant, fawningly trying to butter up Ji Yanchuan. I looked at these people, each harboring their own ulterior motives, and at Jiananan's barely concealed nervousness couldn't help but laugh out loud. Chin jutting forward, she continued to tease Ji Yanchuan. Are you talking about me? If I want to get back together, would you take me back? Jiananan screamed in fury. Keep dreaming, you bitch. Brother Yanchuan is now the general manager of the G Group, worth tens of millions. He wouldn't even look at a useless piece of trash like you. Oh, not interested. Huh, fine, I'll just leave then. Pretending to be listless and ready to leave just then, someone grabbed my wrist under the shocked gaze of everyone. Ji Yanchuan spoke. I do, but I have a few conditions. He took a deep breath, as if he had made a major decision. To be honest, Li Yu, all these years I've worked so hard just to wait for you to come back. We can stay together, and I can marry you. But to avoid repeating past mistakes, you need to agree to a few things. First, change your spending habits. For any household item worth over 1,000, you need to ask for my approval. Second, the house and car can be put in your name, but the children must take my surname. I'll decide how many we have, and you can't throw a tantrum. Third, you must respect my family, relatives, and friends. Whatever they say, you have to listen. If you're unhappy about something, tell me privately first, and don't lose your temper in public. Fourth, I won't pay a bride price, but I'll give you 10,000 a month for household expenses. I think that's enough for an ordinary family. The rest of the money will be under my name, and you need to check with me in advance for any major expenses. Fifth, you can't yell at me or scold me in public. Outside, everything must prioritize my face. He pursed his lips, gritted his teeth, and closed his eyes. As long as you agree to these, I'm willing to give it another try. I believe this time, we can make it work for good. 9. After saying that, Ji Yanchuan lifted his chin slightly and looked at me, as if they had done me some great favor. Beside her, Jiananan's face turned from pale to white, then to purple. She held back her tears and glanced at Ji Yanchuan, only to find that he completely ignored her. Unable to bear it any longer, she broke down and walked away. Ji Yanchuan is still waiting for my reply. Lu Wenyao, unable to take it anymore, walked up to me. Ji Yanchuan, think you're something special just because you have a few dirty bucks, coming here to humiliate people. Those who know say you're chasing a girlfriend, but those who don't would think you're auditioning for a talent show with all these weird rules, he said indignantly. Li Yu, don't bother with him, if you're having financial difficulties, just tell me. I may not have millions, but I can still scrape together some money for emergencies. I grabbed his arm. Alright, Wenyao, don't be mad. I was just messing with him. Then she turned to Ji Yanchuan and said, you set so many rules, I find it too troublesome. You should go find a childhood friend from a similar background to marry. I won't reach above my station. With that, without even glancing at Ji Yanchuan's expression, she gestured for Lu Wenjiao to move to another seat. Once outside, Lu Wenjiao let out a long sigh. Li Yu, are you sure you don't need any help? If you don't mind, I really can help you. I have about 500,000 in my card, originally meant for starting a business, but now it's all yours. I've liked you for a long time. I gently interrupted him. Wenyao, I'm in an arranged marriage. My husband is Gu Shiyu, the CEO of the Gu Group and the eldest son of the Gu family. Lu Wenyao's mouth fell open in shock. It's actually him. Fine. Then I guess I'll never be able to compete with that in my whole life. Congratulations, Li Yu. Me, thanks. 10. I asked Wenyao not to tell anyone about my marriage for now. After returning to the hotel, Gu Shiyu called. He's even clingier than I expected. Just one day apart and he's already whining about how much he misses me. Baby, I miss you. I want to see you. I held back a laugh as I looked at him. Gu Shiyu, President Gu, you're the head of a major corporation. Could you at least try to act dignified? Why should I be formal with my own wife? I worked so hard to marry her. He wrinkled his nose, showing a rare childish expression. I was taken aback. Finally made it. What do you mean? We got together not long after our blind date, didn't we? Gu Shiyu licked the inside of his cheek sheepishly. Do you think I'll go on a blind date with just anyone? That's because I've had my eye on you for a long time. I was pretty upset when you chose my brother before. Back then, I thought since I'm 5 years older than you, you'd definitely find me smelling old. My younger brother, young and handsome, was the lucky one to be chosen by you. He said this while wearing gold-rimmed glasses and a black tight-fitting turtleneck sweater, lounging sideways on the bed. The bright light hits the face, bursting with desire. I completely spaced out, feeling incredibly parched. Brother, hello, he simply couldn't bring himself to say it, but Gu Shiyu understood. He lifted the hem of his shirt, revealing a six-pack. Actually, I've got something even more impressive. Want to see it, baby? How could I possibly resist? Yes. After a bout of affectionate cuddling, we lay flushed and breathless on the bed, whining and acting spoiled. Gu Shiyu, when are you coming back? I miss you, but you never spend time with me. Gu Shiyu's eyes crinkled at the corners, his voice dripping with saccharine sweetness. Good baby, I'll be back tomorrow. Isn't it still a few days away? If you miss me, I'll come back right away. Leave the rest to Secretary Liu. He was so quick to respond that it made me a bit embarrassed. I was just shouting out loud, you don't have to do this. It's my fault. I shouldn't have lost my temper. He indulges me too much. Even I feel like I'm being a bit dramatic. 11. Unexpectedly, Gu Shiyu's expression turned serious. He said, Li Yu, you're 5 years younger than me, so maybe we see some things differently when it comes to love, but I need to tell you seriously, no matter when you express your emotional needs, I will never see it as you throwing a tantrum. You say you miss me and want me to be with you. To me, that's only natural, because I love you, and I want to spend even more time with you too. Me, was that a confession just now? Gu Shiyu froze for a moment, then a smile spread across his face. I'm confessing to you. Will you accept? My heart fluttered, and I felt inexplicably shy, but I still nodded. Accepted. Why would I reject a confession from such a great guy? I'm not crazy. After a whole night of being lovey-dovey, I repeatedly told Gu Shiyu not to come back. He's like a house on fire at his age. If this ends up delaying company matters, I'll truly be the one blamed by the Gu family. The next day, I cheerfully went to discuss supply chain partnerships. The reason for this trip back home was that my overseas company wanted to start live streaming e-commerce, and we needed several stable suppliers. Upon hearing this, Lu Wenyao volunteered and managed to snag a food category order for the remaining furniture category. I approached the largest household goods brand in the southern city. To my surprise, as soon as I entered the company, I saw Ji Yanchuan there as well. As luck would have it, their company is also looking to invest in e-commerce subcategories. In the final step of the collaboration with Dues, the channel director is signing the agreement with them. I was hosted by the president, who happened to be busy with something and politely asked me to wait for a moment, so I walked over to the seating area and sat down. After signing the contract and walking out, Ji Yanchuan's eyes lit up for a moment when he saw me. Li Yue, what are you doing here? He looked me up and down. Are you here to look for a job? Why are you so stubborn? Ji Yanchuan looked pained. I told you, if you just soften up and admit defeat, I'll take care of you. You don't have to do this. Behind her, Jiananan was furious. Before Ji Yanchuan could finish his words, she rushed over. She shoved me hard. Song Li Yue, are you done? Is it fun to string Yanchuan Gage along? I never thought you could be so despicable. That's too much. I was baffled. I'm just sitting here, minding my own business, and you come looking for trouble. Then have the nerve to yell at me. Jiananan tried to slap me again. What do you mean sitting here? You clearly followed me on purpose. You knew we were here for a business meeting today, so you deliberately showed up to embarrass brother Yanchuan. Her shrill voice drew frequent glances from the Du's employees. I lost my patience too. He grabbed her wrist and slapped her across the face. Jiananan, you've been picking on me time and again, and I've kept quiet. Now you're getting bolder, aren't you? Today, I'll show you what humiliation really means. As he spoke, he raised his hand to deliver a second slap. At that moment, someone grabbed my wrist. It was Ji Yanchuan, staring at me in disbelief. You're already down and out like this, and you still dare to hit people. Song Li Yue, you're truly rotten to the core. 12. His righteous words were so over the top that I couldn't help but laugh. I really couldn't help but laugh. You played deaf and dumb when she was cursing me just now. And now you're playing judge. Who do you think you are? Ji Yanchuan. Ji Yanchuan closed his eyes in pain. Song Li Yue, stop looking at me with that sarcastic expression. This is clearly all your fault. I couldn't be bothered to say more to him, when just then President Du came out and greeted me directly. Mrs. Gu, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. Before you arrived, Mr. Gu repeatedly told me to make sure you were well taken care of. I was just a bit busy, but now please come in. Those who usually wield power in the industry, like the Ji family who wouldn't even show up for million-dollar deals, are now bowing and scraping to me. Ji Yanchuan and his crew were all stunned. Ji Yanchuan opened his mouth as if to say something, speechless at the sight of my cold, distant eyes. His gaze dropped, catching sight of the ring on my ring finger, and he couldn't stop trembling. Li Yu, he wanted to say something more, but the secretary had already closed the door. The annual strategic cooperation deal I signed with the Du family was worth hundreds of millions. We kept discussing until after 8 in the evening before everything was finally wrapped up. President Du invited me to dinner, but I politely declined, saying my husband was waiting for me to call him back. No joke. While I was closing deals this afternoon, Gu Shiyu sent dozens of messages to my phone. If I don't get back to check the video soon, the old man is probably going to lose it. Just as I reached the downstairs, I noticed a black car parked there. Ji Yanchuan leaned against the car, a pile of cigarette butts on the ground, clearly having waited for a long time. Seeing me, he hurried over in just a few strides. Song Li Yue, I just saw the ring on your finger. Are you married? Me, yeah, just settled on it recently. Ji Yanchuan took a painful breath. Who is it? Do I know them? You don't know them. LOL, why would my husband need to know him? Ji Yanchuan retorted indignantly. You said it's just been settled, which means you haven't gotten the marriage certificate yet, right? In that case, break off the engagement with him. Do it right now. 13. I looked at him and couldn't help but laugh. Ji Yanchuan, have you lost your mind? Why on earth would I call off the engagement for no reason? Ji Yanchuan lifted his chin proudly. Because he can't possibly be as good as me, he said with absolute certainty. Li Yu, I've thought it over. The reason we didn't get along back then, when it comes down to it, was my own insecurity. I always tried to protect my pride, which is why, when you mean well for me, I end up looking for faults in you. But now I have money, and your family has fallen on hard times. Maybe this is fate's way of bringing things back to the perfect balance. We can have a good life together. Don't worry, I won't mistreat you. Half of the family's money will be in your hands. I'll put the house in your name, and from now on, household matters will still be decided by you. You've got nothing now, and your husband can't be much better off. Just drop the pride and let's make up, okay? As Ji Yanchuan spoke, he reached out to grab my arm. Just as I was about to pull away, a large hand from behind pulled me into an embrace. Looking up, it was Gu Shiyu, who was supposed to be on a business trip. He was dressed in a shirt and trousers, with weariness in his eyes, yet it couldn't conceal the deep chill emanating from him, a chilling, icy glare that could almost swallow a person whole. Snatching my wife in Broad daylight. Kid, where the hell are you from? Got a death wish? Ji Yanchuan froze the moment he saw the other person's face. 14. He knew Gu Shiyu at the Nanjing Annual Business Conference. Gu Shiyu, as the undisputed heavyweight, took the center seat among a group of officials. Those people were bowing and scraping to him. I wanted to go up and network, but was stopped. My rank wasn't high enough. Ji Yanchuan's palms were ice cold, his stunned gaze fixed straight ahead. Gu Shiyu didn't care at all, kissing my palm as if no one else was around. Baby, I really need to keep a closer eye on you. I was only a few hours late, and my wife almost got stolen away. His roguish look made my heart melt with sweetness. I held his hand back. It's okay, I'm not going anywhere. Remember, you locked me in with that ring. Gu Shiyu chuckled. Yeah, good thing we have the ring. I'll buy a few more when we get back. Make sure you're locked down tight. Without even glancing at Ji Yanchuan, he helped me into the car. Just as I was about to close the car door, Ji Yanchuan walked up. Li Yu, don't go. He cast a complicated glance at Gu Shiyu, then looked at me with determination. Maybe I'm not as good as you as a husband right now, but I'm still young. In 5 years, I might not be any worse than him. I gave Gu Shiyu a soothing kiss, then turned to look at the person outside the car. Ji Yanchuan, just live your life well. In my eyes, you'll never measure up to my current husband. You may not know this, but his financial situation was the least of the reasons I chose him. He was an outstanding student, practically a legend in our circle since childhood. He has self-respect and self-discipline, with no ambiguous relationships with women around him. He treats me with respect and care, and on our very first meeting, he gave me an expensive gift to express his feelings. You'll never match up to him when it comes to these little things, so even if you become richer someday, I'd still choose him. Gu Shiyu and I exchanged a smile, and honestly, let's face it, you'll probably never catch up to his wealth in this lifetime. After all, from what I know, the Gu family's overseas investment projects alone are already generating tens of billions in annual revenue. It would probably take several generations of effort for a country bumpkin like Ji Yanchuan to reach that level. 15. Ji Yanchuan left, his face ashen. Gu Shiyu put his arm around me, watching his retreating figure, and said, Li Yu, he looks like a dog. His sour expression makes you want to laugh. I hooked my arm around the jealous guy's neck. Stop looking at him. I've missed you so much. Gu Shiyu immediately perked up, flipped over, and pinned me against the backrest. Baby, I miss you too. Are we going to the hotel? Is that okay? Then let's go, let's go, let's go. A roar of the throttle, and the past is left behind. A few months later, Gu Shiyu and I got our marriage certificate. The company I founded is gradually getting its business on track. It's really something to have a big backer. Just opened not long ago, and the revenue has already hit 8 figures every day. The moment I open my eyes, it's all about counting money. There's no greater joy than this feeling. Lu Wenyao also raked in a fortune from the orders. He's dating a girl from a well-matched family, and I heard they're planning to get married. When chatting about this, he happened to mention that Ji Yanchuan's company had been scammed. I heard that gang specializes in organized crime, and their scheme wasn't even that clever, but Ji Yanchuan, for some reason, got completely carried away the moment he heard about that 40% profit margin. He dumped tens of millions into it, and now his cash flow has dried up. I suddenly recalled that night and asked him curiously, a few tens of millions isn't something you can't get through. He still has the patents for the products he developed before. At most, it'll take a year or 2 to earn it back. That was the plan, but who would have thought that Ji Yanchuan's uncle didn't put his own son into the company? Instead, that guy teamed up with Jianan to cook the books and embezzle money. With 2 messes piling up at once, the Ji family is probably going to go under. I heard it, but it didn't bring me much relief. After thinking it over, I said to Lu Wenyao, are you free these couple of days? I'd like to ask you for a favor. A few days later, Ji Yanchuan received a transfer of 50 million yuan. Lu Wenyue told him that this was investment capital from Song Liyue, hoping he could save the Ji family. Ji Yanchuan looked at his account balance, feeling both sad and happy. Just as he was about to say something, Lu Wenyao shattered his illusion. Liyue gave you the money to repay a debt of gratitude. She said you once saved her life, so she chose to help you this once. You used to be unable to let go, so she played the villain, shielding you from those with ill intentions. Now you have to face it on your own. I hope you understand that you can't keep cashing in on past bonds to settle today's debts. You've been through a lot. Besides love, there are many more important things in life. She hopes she'll stop dwelling on trivial romantic matters and focus more on making money. As for anything else, don't even think about it. Liu has already gotten her marriage certificate with Mr. Gu. Lu Wenyao shrugged. Oh, that's my line. He put down the contract and turned away. Ji Yanchuan sat on the sofa for a long time, until it got dark, before pulling up that familiar number and sending a message. Thank you. In the end, a deep-seated hatred. Fate works in such mysterious ways. Some people love each other, but they're just not right for each other. Once missed, it's lost forever. There's no turning back. Story 2. I am the legendary female protagonist, walking in on my husband cheating with my best friend. I didn't cry or make a scene, I just calmly said, he's all yours. My friends all say I handle myself with grace. I know when to step up and when to let go, like a strong female lead from an empowering novel come to life. But things didn't unfold like a satisfying revenge story. After weathering a storm of public criticism, the couple went ahead and got married. The following year, my former best friend gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. Meanwhile, my ex-husband's business took off, and they became the picture-perfect family that everyone envied. As for me, not long after the divorce, I was consumed by a wave of emotional turmoil. My heart was tormented by trauma and humiliation, and my belief in cosmic justice completely shattered. From then on, both my career and love life fell apart, and I hit rock bottom. Lost in a long-lasting haze, I was hit by a car while crossing the street on my deathbed. My best friend came to see me, her eyes filled with pity and regret. I know you've always fancied yourself the female lead, so I made sure you'd catch us that day. I died consumed by regret and resentment. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the scene of the affair. I lay in the emergency room, hovering between life and death. Moments ago, the doctor solemnly informed me that my injuries were too severe to treat. Just as I hazily thought, if death comes, so be it. The click of high heels echoed, and Lin Yu walked in dressed in luxurious attire with radiant, glowing skin. She looked even younger than 8 years ago when I had caught her in bed with another man. She looked at me with sorrow and pity in her eyes. Sit on. I never imagined you'd end up like this. How strange fate is. After all these twists and turns, I'm the one seeing you off on your final journey. Since that's how it is, let's use this time for a heart-to-heart conversation between us. I didn't know why she was here, and I wanted to turn my head away, not even bothering to look at her, but I just can't bring myself to do it, because I'm dying. Lin Yu sat down by my bedside, let out a soft sigh, and began speaking as if to herself. I fell for Shuyan the moment I laid eyes on him. All those years, I could only watch as you two fell in love, got married, and your life kept getting better than mine. You could casually buy a bracelet that cost as much as my entire month's salary. I couldn't understand it. We came from similar backgrounds, had similar educations, looked equally attractive. So why did Shuyang fall for you instead of me? Just because you happened to arrive at that cafe 10 minutes earlier. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and set things right. I found a way to sleep with Shuyang, but when he woke up, he was filled with regret and frustration. He even offered me money to keep it from you. Later, even though he couldn't resist seeing me again, a second time, a third, he regretted it every single time. She let out a light laugh. Well, that just wouldn't do, would it? I know you've always prided yourself on being the strong, independent type. The kind of woman who'd never break down or make a scene like other women if your husband cheated. You always said you'd just walk away and never look back, so I begged Shuyang to be with me one last time, and I made sure you'd catch us in the act. I stared at her in stunned disbelief. After the divorce, I quickly realized that playing the strong, unbothered woman was just a temporary facade. Soon, the emotional backlash hit me hard. I was consumed by the trauma of betrayal from the person I trusted most, along with overwhelming social shame. Over time, I watched them get married, have children, and build a successful business together, their lives flourishing. Meanwhile, my own life spiraled downward. Having lost all faith in love, I couldn't bring myself to continue working as a wedding designer, let alone open my heart to a new relationship. The constant comparison felt like psychological torture, plunging me into anxiety, self-doubt, and shattered beliefs. Each day was agony, my mind burning with anguish that robbed me of sleep. I thought it was just my rotten luck, my own weakness and incompetence. I even despised myself for being so broken and unable to recover. It never once crossed my mind that all this stemmed from a calculated scheme. Thank you, sighing, you didn't let me down. Your pride and dignity spared us the embarrassment, which is exactly why Shuyang and I managed to bounce back so quickly. Of course, the person I should thank most is myself. After all, I went through so much trouble, imitating your mannerisms in front of Xuyang, paying to have you fired repeatedly, and even, she suddenly let out a light laugh, visiting an overseas sperm bank in advance, selecting a donor who resembled Xuyang, and conceiving twins. My weakened body had no strength left to spare, but at this moment her words still made my eyes fly wide open even after I'd cleanly divorced him. Qin Xuyang still wouldn't let go. He knelt before me, confessing that I was the only one in his heart, begging for another chance, and swearing a solemn oath that he would never lay eyes on Lin Yu again in this lifetime, that is, until Lin Yu said she was carrying his child. In short, over the past few years, especially after giving birth to our 2 adorable babies, Xuyang has treated me better and better. He truly fell in love with me, little by little. Sit on. I've finally started living the life that was once yours. I took my fate into my own hands and changed it, though it's a shame no one will ever know. Thank heaven for giving me this chance to speak my mind right before you die. Sit on. Since I've been so honest with you, I hope you won't hold a grudge against me after you're gone. Rest in peace. With these words, she rose gracefully, her face glowing with triumphant satisfaction. Oh, by the way, are you wondering how I ended up here? My favorite walnut cookie shop closes at 9, and my driver was worried I'd miss out and be disappointed, so he drove a bit faster. I hope you won't blame him, it was an accident. And he'll probably be traumatized because of you. Of course, I'll compensate you fairly and legally. After all, no matter how much I pay, it's just the cost of one of my handbags. Only, she tilted her head suddenly, looking troubled. But now you're all alone, with no family left. Who am I even supposed to pay? Shaking her head with a laugh, she walked out gracefully in her high heels. I closed my eyes amidst the soul's piercing cry. When I awoke, I found myself standing at the 2nd floor doorway. The lively chatter and laughter of friends drifted up from downstairs. Inside the room, 2 naked bodies were entwined in passionate embrace, accompanied by ragged gasps. I froze for 2 seconds before slapping myself across the face. Good, it hurts, it hurts. The next instant, I screamed with every fiber of my being, you shameless bastard, you filthy couple. 2 flushed faces turned toward me simultaneously, panting heavily too. The moment Qin Xuyang recognized me, his pupils contracted sharply, his body shuddered, and in his panic, he hastily completed the final act. Lin Yu gasped, enduring the moment, then pulled the blanket over both of them and whispered hoarsely, Si Tang, please, don't be impulsive, it's all my fault, I seduced Xuyang, please don't blame him. If you want to hit or scold someone, direct it all at me. Once upon a time, Lin Yu had said the same words. Back then, I was a successful wedding designer with both a thriving career and happy family life. To me, love and marriage allowed no imperfections. If a man became tainted or strayed, he simply wasn't worth keeping. So despite my rage, disappointment, and disgust, I channeled my inner leading lady from novels, shooting them a contemptuous glare before icily delivering my line, you can have this man. Without even stepping into the room, I turned and walked downstairs, leaving it all behind. At that moment, Lin Yu stared at me with sparkling eyes, clearly waiting for my reaction, but I dashed in. With a sudden burst of speed, I grabbed the kettle from the table and hurled it straight at Qin Xuyang's face. With a thud, hot water splashed all over him, and he let out a scream, clutching his face. At the same time, I nimbly darted around to Lin Yu's side like a monkey. With my left foot, I kicked the clothes on the floor under the bed in one swift motion, while my right foot pressed against the edge of the bed. I reached out with both hands, grabbed Lin Yu by her long hair, and dragged her out with all my might. That was the long hair she meticulously cared for and took great pride in, thick and long enough to get a good grip for leverage. This scheme was her doing from the start, so she'll be the first to face the consequences. With a twist of my wrist, I wrapped her hair around my hand and pulled it taut. Then I delivered 10 sharp slaps, smack, 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 across her still flushed face. When one hand grew sore, I switched to the other and landed 10 more. The entire sequence flowed seamlessly, as if etched into my very DNA, smooth and decisive. Lin Yu's upper body dangled precariously in the air, all her earlier coquettishness gone, staring up at me in terror as if gazing at the starry sky. She let out a continuous stream of sputtering noises, like air rushing out of a deflating balloon. On countless nights when regret came crashing back, I've asked myself over and over why I had to play it cool and walk away that day. Why not expose them right then and there? Why not broadcast their dirty laundry to the whole world? After running through the scenario in my head countless times, I realized nothing beats the raw satisfaction of a good slap or hair pulling, so when the people downstairs rushed up, drawn by my screams, this is what they saw. I yanked Lin Yu's long hair with all my might, locked in a desperate tug-of-war. Completely naked, she clung fiercely to the bedsheet with both hands. Qin Shuyang covered his face with one hand while instinctively pulling the other end of the sheet to shield his own bare body. The three of us were caught in a bizarre stalemate. The crowd at the doorway stared in stunned disbelief. A group of friends had planned to spend the weekend at a rental house. I was supposed to arrive tomorrow due to last-minute work, but Lin Yu called saying Qin Shuyang had drunk too much tonight, so I changed my mind and rushed over. Immediately Lin Yu was barely holding on, her face swollen beyond recognition as she mumbled a desperate plea for help. Help me, please help me. No one came to her aid. The crowd looked on with disgust and contempt, but last time was different. They didn't witness the actual affair, but pieced together what happened from our expressions and fragmented conversations. Seeing something firsthand versus hearing about it makes all the difference. The visual impact hits differently. It's a different level of disgusting. In fact, in the later years when Qin Shuyang's business took off and Lin Yu transformed into a socialite, they even exclaimed with envy, "You've proven that true love conquers all. Sit on, you need to calm down first." 3. Qin Shuyang's voice trembled as he spoke. His head was flushed crimson from the neck up, with shiny blisters rising across his once handsome face, and strands of steam wafting from his hair. He looked like a boiled prawn. Years ago, when Lin Yu and I met at a cafe, she was running late. I opened my laptop to work on my graduation project while waiting, when Qin Shuyang from the next table smiled and asked me, "Hey, are you a design student too?" That day, Lin Yu was 10 minutes late. Qin Shuyang and I were so engrossed in our conversation that we only had eyes for each other. When Lin Yu finally arrived, I completely missed the sparkle in her eyes as she looked at him. Qin Shuyang is an art gallery designer. To everyone who knows him, he's kind-hearted, talented, sensitive, and has a soft spot for those in need. He even carries a small bag of cat food to feed stray cats on the street, but his heart was far too soft. In our past life, he knelt before me, weeping and confessing his remorse. He said that Lin Yu once confessed her feelings to him while drunk, sobbing about how she had secretly loved him for years and even remained chaste for him. Through her tears, she pleaded not for a lasting relationship, but just one night together. He had turned her down many times, but when he discovered she was contemplating suicide, he relented in a moment of weakness. I was utterly disgusted by what I heard and just wanted to get as far away as possible from those two despicable people. Within a month, I swiftly divided our assets and finalized the divorce. At that moment, I cursed the fact that I only had 2 hands, preventing me from rushing over to claw at his face and tear every single blister on it, but I couldn't afford to be hasty. Lin Yu had only this one chance. If she ran now, there might not be another, and Qin Shuyang has to come home with me. How can I stay calm? I glared at him through gritted teeth, his face flushed crimson, eyelashes fluttering as he spoke with visible shame. "Sit on, please let her go first. Let us both get dressed. I'm begging you," I sneered. "If you want to play the hero, that's fine." Lin Yu and I made a vow, if either of us ever wronged the other, we'd take 30 slaps. I've already given her 20, and I'm tired now. You can give her the remaining 10, once you're done, I'll let her go. Qin Shuyang shook his head in a panic. "Si Tang, I'm not trying to play the hero, go ahead and slap her." Lin Yu suddenly spoke up through her tears. "I was the one who seduced Shuyang. I drugged him. I'm despicable and shameless. I'm Lin Yu, the homewrecker who has no self-respect. None of this is his fault. Hurry up and do it." My stomach, I can't hold this position much longer. Her voice was filled with anguish and helplessness, partly playing the victim in front of Qin Shuyang, but also because she genuinely couldn't endure much longer. After all, she was currently carrying twins in her womb. Their friends were all crowded at the doorway. He kept muttering things like "Don't be rash" and "Let's talk this through calmly," but no one made a move, all watching the drama unfold with rapt attention. I thought Qin Shuyang would hesitate. After all, he's such a kind-hearted and soft-spirited person. But before Lin Yu had even finished speaking, he bundled himself in the quilt and shuffled over to her side. Then came the crisp, rhythmic sound of padding. At one point, the pads became noticeably lighter. I furrowed my brow slightly, and Qin Shuyang immediately increased the pressure. Amid the spray of nosebleed, Lin Yu's face showed a flicker of surprise and sorrow, but having planned this for so long with clear intent, she got exactly what she'd asked for. After the 10th slap landed, her swollen face puffed up like a pig's head. Managed to conjure a faint smile for the panting Qin Shuyang. I don't blame you, her words slurred as she spoke, gazing at Qin Shuyang with the desperate eyes of star-crossed lovers persecuted by evil forces. But Qin Shuyang turned his face away 2 seconds later, his trembling eyes met mine. Sidong, is this enough? Absolutely not, you've made me a laughingstock with this disgusting affair. If I only confront the other woman and not you, people will think I'm just another woman who only dares to take it out on her own gender. My face remained expressionless. Qin Shuyang immediately nodded, closed his eyes, lifted his face, and spoke in a heart-wrenching tone. Si Tang, go ahead and hit me. I just want you to vent your anger. Whatever needs to be said, we can discuss it calmly when we get home. I looked at the increasingly glistening blisters on his face, as if they would burst and splatter some unknown fluid at the slightest touch, and changed my mind at the last moment, lowering my gaze. I said to Lin Yu, you do it. Her face registered shock, then she shook her head sorrowfully. No, no, Qin Shuyang suddenly roared, hurry up, do it now, anything is better than this. And so, Lin Yu began fanning in an awkward posture, weeping and wailing as she did. Are you two flirting? I asked. Qin Shuyang gritted his teeth, harder. As Lin Yu withdrew her hand, I caught sight of the sticky mess coating her palm. In the end, the whole farce concluded with Qin Shuyang and Lin Yu, one wrapped in a quilt, the other in a bedsheet, crawling on the floor to fish their clothes out from under the bed. My health bar finally showed a sliver of green, about 1/10 full. Sure, I lost my mind but it was all about venting that pent-up frustration I'd swallowed while trying to keep up appearances. Given a second chance at life, surely there's more to it than just losing your mind. What's a little embarrassment in the grand scheme of things? With time, people's memories will quickly fade. Qin Shuyang is an independent designer who has been deeply involved in the art industry for years. He's talented and has a solid portfolio. This kind of incident won't harm him in the slightest. It'll just become another amusing anecdote people share when they talk about him. I know Qin Shuyang inside out. His career was the most important thing in his life. In his previous life, Qin Shuyang was scouted by an art investment group, secured angel funding to launch a successful business, amassed a fortune worth hundreds of millions, and lived in the limelight. Lin Yu also transformed into a socialite overnight. In reality, the proposal he later used for financing was already in the works at this point. Before his affair came to light, we often discussed concepts and ideas, and I occasionally helped him with some scene designs. Being a strong female lead isn't the problem is playing the role like a fool. That carefree, graceful exit is just a facade. A true queen leverages every available resource, turning others' influence into her own triumph. Make yourself the one who stands at the summit. I will change my fate, change Qin Shuyang's fate, change Lin Yu's fate, I'll change my own fate. After Qin Shuyang had been kneeling before me for 3 days, one evening, I gazed out the window with a sigh, looking at him with sadness and grievance. Are your legs sore? He froze in disbelief, then his eyes lit up with joy, voice trembling. It hurts. Sighing, are you finally willing to talk to me properly? That night, he kept repeating how much he loved me, saying he just pitied Lin Yu and that their closeness had given her the wrong idea. I asked with red-rimmed eyes, did she really drug you before you slept with her? He nodded without hesitation. Yes. I fell silent for a few seconds. I'm resigning. What happened between you two has made me question marriage and love. I can't bring myself to face those starry-eyed couples planning their weddings anymore. Qin Shuyang looked distraught and murmured, this is all my fault, but don't worry, I'll take care of you from now on. I've been in talks with an investment group recently, and I'm confident it'll work out. I looked at him and said slowly, but I don't want to abandon design. If I can't be a wedding planner anymore, then bring me into your line of work. His eyes lit up. Absolutely. Sighing, I'll teach you everything. Just imagine how wonderful it will be, us building this business together as husband and wife, and sharing the success. I lowered my gaze and murmured softly. The next day, he transferred all the materials and notes from his computer to me, then buried himself in designing the lesson plans again. I've always said he's exceptionally talented. During the day, he handled all household chores on top of his work. At night, he wholeheartedly shared his lifetime of knowledge with me. When we slept in separate rooms, he understood completely and said casually, it's all right. Sighing, I believe someday you'll truly open your heart to me. During this time, I hadn't forgotten about Lin Yu either. She works as a kindergarten teacher at a public preschool. I took some of the things she said that I recorded during the confrontation, paid someone to set them to music, and hired people to blast it on loop outside her kindergarten. I was the one who seduced Shuyang, I was the one who drugged him, I'm the shameless one. Lin Yu, was the homewrecker who had no self-respect. The tune is upbeat and catchy, anyone can sing along after hearing it just once. A crowd of parents gathered outside the kindergarten before dismissal, eagerly discussing and learning the song. The music stopped abruptly as soon as the children came out. Lin Yu slipped away through the kindergarten's back door. She lived in her parents' residential complex, but there too, a loudspeaker was blaring on loop. Her parents were so furious they wanted to call the police, but she stopped them. I knew she was enduring, biding her time, because she still had an ace up her sleeve. Qin Shuyang was a Catholic who had repeatedly told friends that life is sacred and abortion is a moral sin. In my previous life, just before the car accident, the accomplished Qin Shuyang came to see me. By then I was already in a deep depression and had become noticeably thinner. I coldly told him to get lost. He gave a dismissive chuckle and handed me a card, speaking with the composed tone of someone in a position of power. Sidong, no matter what, I do love you. I truly wish to share my success with you. But Lin Yu did give me a son and a daughter after all. I can't let my own flesh and blood grow up without their birth mother. I know you're in financial straits right now. I can buy you another apartment. I have to be with the kids on weekends, but I can make time for you during the week. I chased him out with the floor mopping machine. Looking back, Lin Yu had indeed thought this through carefully. She knew she might not be able to win Qin Shuyang over on her own, so she targeted his weak spot, the child. One day, I came home from outside. I saw Lin Yu sitting on the living room sofa. Qin Shuyang stood nearby, frowning deeply and sighing heavily. The moment I stepped inside, Lin Yu's face instantly flashed with panic. Without a word, I charged forward ready to tear into her, but Qin Shuyang grabbed hold of me. He stared at me with visible internal conflict before finally gritting his teeth and uttering, "She's pregnant with my child." Lin Yu spoke through her sobs. "Sidong, I'm sorry, I had no choice but to come. After all, he's the father of the child." I felt he deserved to know. I turned to Qin Shuyang and asked, "Do you believe her?" Qin Shuyang lowered his head and murmured, "I do." His face flushed crimson as he stammered, "She was a virgin when we first." I could tell. Lin Yu suddenly dropped to her knees with a thud, tears streaming as she swore to the heavens. "Says who?" "Sidong. We've been close friends for years. You know I've never been in a relationship. If this child isn't Shuyang's, may I die a miserable death in my next life." Her gaze held mine, eyes glittering with undisguised provocation and calculation. I know she's trying to provoke me. She's waiting for me to break down, lose my temper, and demand a divorce. After what happened that day, my decision not to divorce Qin Shuyang must have shocked and bewildered her. So after lying low for a while, she played her trump card. The version of me in her imagination would never be able to stomach the fact that her husband had fathered 2 illegitimate children. At that moment, Qin Shuyang froze briefly before slowly sinking to his knees. "Sidong, I'm begging you, I'll transfer all my assets, both prenuptial and marital, into your name. Please spare these 2 innocent lives." She watched the 2 figures kneeling before her. I fell silent for a moment, covering my face with both hands, my voice filled with profound sorrow. I'm not a cruel or heartless person either. Since things have come to this, then, let's have the baby. Lin Yu suddenly looked up, her eyes wide with shock. Qin Shuyang was both surprised and overjoyed, standing up excitedly to embrace me. "Don't touch me, I'm feeling awful inside." 5. I sidestepped to avoid him, then said with reddened eyes, "After all we've been through as husband and wife, I can't possibly be responsible for preventing 2 lives from coming into this world. I refuse to carry that kind of guilt." Qin Shuyang's eyes also welled up with tears. Then, unable to contain himself any longer, he went to call his parents. Only Lin Yu and I remained in the living room. She stood up, her gaze profound and penetrating as she stared at me. I sat rocking gently in the rocking chair, watching her as well. We've known each other for years and understand one another inside out. She was never one to swallow insults meekly, and I'm not the type to compromise my principles for peace either. The scene was total chaos. She was caught completely off guard while I was just focused on venting my anger. Then came the series of actions I took against her afterward, which led to her getting expelled from kindergarten and eventually kicked out of her parents' house. She became an object of scorn and contempt among her friends. She endured all of this in silence because she knew very well Qin Shuyang had feelings for her, and the more pitiful she appeared, the more likely he would take pity when she played her trump card, the child, and agree to let her keep it. She was in no hurry. After long deliberation, she had invested heavily, endured humiliation, and bided her time with patience. Indeed, she succeeded. As I lay dying, I saw her, elegant and bejeweled, every inch the pampered lady of leisure. She was still the disheveled, shadowy Lin Yu. You've changed. You used to insist on being the heroine of your own destiny, but now you can even accept your husband's illegitimate child. But now, she spoke slowly, with a hint of sarcasm. I tilted my head and looked at her. I can't tell if you've changed or not, Lin Yu. Did you become this despicable and depraved over time, or have you always been this kind of person, just hiding it well before? Her face was tense, her voice grim. Things have come to this point. Say whatever you want, Si Tang. I just want to remind you of one thing. I've tolerated everything you've done to me lately, but that doesn't mean I won't fight back. My baby is already 4 months along, 2 little lives that have taken shape. If you pretend to be kind on the surface but are actually planning to harm my child, I won't let you get away with it. I let out a light laugh. Don't worry, I'm not as despicable as you. Let me put it this way, you know I have zero tolerance for emotional betrayal. After what Qin Shuyang has done, there's no way I can stay married to him. But why should I lose both the man and the money? If he transfers all his assets to me right now, I'll sign the divorce papers immediately. A strong female lead certainly doesn't need a scumbag. But every single cent of that money is non-negotiable. In my previous life, I was so disgusted that I rushed into a divorce without fighting for a fair settlement, that left me financially vulnerable when I hit rock bottom later on. Now, my stance is crystal clear. The marriage ends, but I'm taking every asset and the child must be born too. When I said I was willing to divorce, Lin Yu's eyes lit up instantly, then took on a faintly mocking glint. She was sneering at my short-sightedness. Qin Shuyang is a high-potential stock with a bright future ahead. In her eyes, his current assets are just bargaining chips she's willing to sacrifice. As for emotional attachment, she has full confidence in her unborn child. I've seen the twins myself. The resemblance to Qin Shuyang is so striking that anyone would immediately recognize them as his biological children. It must have taken considerable effort for her to find the right candidate back then. One has to acknowledge her meticulous planning. Qin Shuyang is no fool either. He wouldn't be foolish enough to transfer assets before confirming the pregnancy is viable. But as for making me get a divorce, that depends on Lin Yu's capabilities. At this moment, I planted a seed in her mind. Lin Yu is cunning and will stop at nothing to achieve her goals. I believe she can do it. It's only a matter of months. I can wait. Sensing my thoughts, Lin Yu went back to rest for her pregnancy with peace of mind. To prove his loyalty to me, Qin Shuyang never once went to see her, but he called in his parents. 6. He rented a bigger place and had them move in to take care of her. Too ashamed to face me, the old couple simply sent a WeChat message saying the Qin family was grateful, and that the child I would bear would be considered the true firstborn heir. I nearly burst out laughing when I read it. In the following days, we each settled into our own routines. Qin Shuyang grew increasingly busy preparing for an investment conference 6 months away. He spent his days at the studio and taught me exhibition hall design in the evenings. His life is getting better and better. It seems this romantic affair has actually added a new spark to his life. As for me, I mainly did 2 things. The first one, I found a girl named Zhongli. She's a competitor in Qin Shuyang's industry and has designed many successful exhibition hall projects. However, due to her plain appearance and stutter, she rarely appears in public. In my previous life, when Qin Shuyang was at the peak of his success, I came across news online about her suing him for stealing her design work under the guise of collaboration, though the story never gained much traction. Although I've mastered Qin Shuyang's carefully refined design techniques, methods, and concepts during this time, I still need actual case studies to attract investors. I found Zhongli in an old house in an urban village. Surprised that someone so talented would be living in such a humble place, she adjusted her thick glasses and calmly explained, I can't secure projects on my own, and by the time the money trickles down to me, there's not much left. I asked if she'd consider partnering with me. She watched me from behind her glasses. She's a clever, spirited girl. I've seen her work, quietly sophisticated, ingeniously crafted. It's just that society places undue importance on appearances, leaving no room for people like her. After a day's consideration, she agreed. I want to succeed. I want full creative control over my work, and I wanted to reach a wider audience on a bigger stage. I admire her ambition and honesty. The second thing, I sold the apartment my parents left me and combined it with my 300,000 yuan in savings. I put every last bit into Bitcoin. It's 2017, and Bitcoin is trading at 15,000 yuan. But in my previous life, right before I died, I remember Bitcoin had surged to $120,000, a second chance at life. Revenge is a must, and so is making money. No other investment is this hassle-free. With such high returns, I bought 200 of them. I memorized the password so thoroughly that I could recite it in my sleep, to the point where even thinking about it made me nauseous, and I was convinced I'd remember it for the rest of my life. Then, I completely put it out of my mind, as if it had never happened. Bitcoin's appreciation still needs time to mature. As for Lin Yu's situation, things were nearly settled. In her 8th month of pregnancy, she gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. That night, I was awakened by Qin Shuyang's knocking at my door. He stood outside the door and said, "My parents are insisting I go to the hospital. I'll just check on them and be right back." 7. But he didn't return for 3 days. I didn't dwell on it. Busy revising the proposal with Zhongli, we spent whole days cooped up in her place in the urban village. The more time I spent with her, the more I realized how incredibly knowledgeable, quick-witted, and engaging she was. Being around her felt effortless. I could almost sense her subtly adjusting to my wavelength. A mutual friend went to visit them at the hospital and called me afterward. "Sit on. I'm so outraged for you. Those twins are the spitting image of Qin Shuyang." His parents kept gushing over their precious grandson and granddaughter, and even the doctors and nurses were going on about what a happy family they were. On the 4th day, when I returned from Zhongli's place, I found Qin Shuyang sitting on the sofa with a conflicted expression. His brow was furrowed, and he seemed to be holding back words. "How is the child doing?" His eyes reddened instantly, and he suddenly dropped to his knees before me. "Sit on. I've wronged you. These past 2 days, my parents have been threatening suicide to pressure me into coming back to discuss something with you." I looked at him and asked, "What is it?" "You know, my parents are from the countryside. They said we can't let the child be born with the stigma of illegitimacy, otherwise, not only will they face endless gossip when they return to the village, but the child will also carry this shame for life. So they sent me to discuss this with you." At this point, he closed his eyes, his voice trembling. "They want us to get a fake divorce, then I'll register my marriage with Lin Yu to get the children properly registered in the family registry. Once the children's first month celebration is over and they're a bit older, I'll remarry you." He opened his eyes and, seeing my silence, crawled on his knees to the coffee table, pulled a document from his bag, and handed it to me. "Sit on. I know you've been through a lot because of me. That's why I've signed an asset transfer agreement, which states that all my premarital and postmarital assets will be transferred to your name. This is my commitment to you as your husband. Don't worry, once the situation with the child settles down and my funding comes through, I'll make sure to give you the grand wedding you deserve." When we remarry, I took the document. My eyes fixed on it. I stayed silent. After a moment, I looked up. "Does Lin Yu agree?" He paused briefly. "Why would she need to agree? We're both at fault in your eyes, and she feels guilty too. She hasn't said a word about these arrangements." I sighed. "What's done is done. What difference would my objection make now? It's all for the sake of 2 innocent little lives." "Sit on. Don't worry, even if we get a divorce on paper, I'll still visit you often. We can still be like before." Watching him repeat the same heartbreaking words from our previous life, I couldn't hold back a cold, bitter smile. "So you're suggesting I become your mistress instead? Let you have your cake and eat it too?" His face stiffened. Of course not." A wave of nausea washed over me. The very next day, we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau and got divorced. Both parties are in a hurry. He's rushing because there's a mandatory 30-day cooling-off period for divorces, and they want to get their marriage certificate before their baby's 1-month celebration. I'm anxious because I'm just naturally impatient. Qin Shuyang handled the asset transfer procedures with remarkable efficiency, driven by his guilt toward me. Of course, much of his confidence stemmed from the substantial funding he believed was practically guaranteed and soon to be secured. During this period, Zhongli and I made a trip to Haicheng. We returned just as the cooling-off period expired. At the Civil Affairs Bureau, I encountered Qin Shuyang and Lin Yu, who had just emerged from her postpartum confinement. They're hosting the full moon banquet tomorrow, and want to get their marriage certificate right after obtaining the divorce papers today. They just can't wait. Can they? Qin Shuyang stared at me blankly. "Sit on. I heard you went traveling to clear your mind. Are you feeling better now?" Lin Yu's gaze toward me was detached, laced with a hint of cold mockery, already carrying some of that haughty air I remembered from our previous life. As Qin Shuyang walked away, I suddenly spoke up. "I once asked Qin Shuyang, if it had been you who arrived early at the coffee shop back then, would he have fallen in love with you?" "That's great." Lin Yu's eyes flickered. Clearly affected by this answer, I smiled faintly and said slowly, he said no. When I asked why, he explained that even though we were very similar in every way back then, many people even said we looked like twins, it still wouldn't have made a difference. Guess what he said? Lin Yu pressed her lips together without speaking. I didn't mind her silence and continued. His exact words were, I don't like complicated women. There's too much going on behind Lin Yu's eyes. She listened with composed expression, her voice equally steady. Sidong, are you saying all this just to provoke me? Then you've underestimated me. You may look down on me, or preach about being a strong female lead who doesn't engage in petty rivalries, but I'm someone who prioritizes goals above all else. I knew I wanted this man, and now I have him. After today, I'll be Shuyang's rightful wife, not you. As for whether he loves me or not, we have plenty of time ahead of us, and that will depend on my abilities. I looked at her with a faint smile. Are you so sure there will be plenty of time ahead? The next day, I attended the full moon banquet hosted by Qin Shuyang. His parents were telling everyone within earshot, they've already registered their marriage. We kept it quiet before, which caused all these misunderstandings. Our Shuyang is just too kind-hearted. He was trying to protect his ex's reputation. As I walked in, the guests who recognized me all looked visibly uncomfortable. I pretended not to notice and walked straight up to Qin Shuyang, who was beaming with delight. Sidong, I never thought you'd actually come. He looked pleasantly surprised. I smiled and said, I wouldn't miss witnessing such an important day in person. Not far away, Lin Yu spotted me and started pushing the stroller in my direction. She kept having to pause and exchange pleasantries with people who greeted her along the way. I handed him a document and said in a gentle tone, here's the documentation from Lin Yu's artificial insemination procedure abroad 9 months ago. Consider it my congratulatory gift to you. Qin Shuyang took the documents and leafed through them. After a long moment, he looked up in stunned silence. Why would she undergo artificial insemination? I turned to look at Lin Yu, who had now approached us with wary eyes. Then you'll have to ask her. With those final words, I turned and walked away. The next day, Zhongli and I set off for Haicheng again. I sold both my house and car, but this time instead of buying Bitcoin, I used all the money to renovate an art gallery in Haicheng that was a dream design that had been sitting in Zhongli's computer for ages. The very one Qin Shuyang had stolen in our previous life, which later went on to win an award. Zhongli's eyes grew slightly moist. I once asked heaven why it gave me the ability to dream but not the means to make those dreams come true. Now I understand. Heaven chose the best possible path for me. Thank you for coming to find me that day. For the next while, Zhongli and I stayed in Haicheng. Qin Shuyang blew up my phone with endless calls and WeChat messages. Lin Yu did the same. I haven't watched a single one. I was completely immersed in the world Zhongli created, savoring the beauty of high art and temporarily putting all those toxic people and petty dramas out of my mind. That is, until I ran into an old friend while having dinner out with a potential investor. Si Tang, what are you doing in Haicheng? You won't believe this. Huge news. Those twins aren't Qin Shuyang's children. She told me everything that had happened during that time. The day after the baby's full moon celebration, Qin Shuyang took the child for a paternity test. The moment he got the results, he collapsed to the ground with a thud. That same day, Lin Yu was thrown out with her 2 one-month-old babies and had to return to her parents' home. Seeing their son so wronged, Chen's parents went to Lin Yu's parents' neighborhood every day, wailing and cursing from dawn till dusk, demanding compensation from the Lin family. The Lin parents couldn't stomach the insult and came out to trade insults with them. The Chen parents were from a rural area and spoke with a thick accent. Completely outmatched in the war of words, they both collapsed in a fit of rage. At first, everyone thought it was an act and just stood by watching. By the time people realized they needed help, one had a mouth slanted to the left and the other to the right. They both had a stroke at the same time. Within days, Qin Shuyang unexpectedly brought Lin Yu and her 2 children back home. He claimed that since they were married, they were family, and besides, the elderly at home had suffered a stroke and needed care. One night, I suddenly received a WeChat message from Lin Yu that just said 110. Puzzled, I called back, but Qin Shuyang answered and said it was an accidental touch while handling the kids. Qin Shuyang reached out to me again later, but only to ask if I knew where you'd gone. Apparently, he'd contacted all our friends. His appearance has changed so much. He used to be gentle and cheerful, but now he seems really gloomy. The evening I returned from Haicheng, I ran into Qin Shuyang downstairs at my new place. At first glance, I didn't recognize him. Dressed in a sharp suit, He had become gaunt and thin, his face somber, as if the whole of him had grown quiet. 9. But this quiet wasn't peaceful, it felt more like the eerie calm before a storm. I frowned. How did you know my address? I asked the agent who sold that apartment. I was in a hurry to move to Haicheng, so I'd entrusted both selling my old place and finding a new one to the same real estate agent. He stood in the dark of night, his gaze heavy as he watched me. Sidong, I don't blame you. He paid no mind to my attitude, his voice steady. I was the one who wronged you first. It's only fair that you'd want to get back at me. Sidong, we love each other. We ended up like this because of Lin Yu's schemes. She finally admitted everything was her carefully orchestrated plot. She even harmed my parents. Sooner or later, I'll make her pay. I used to be too soft-hearted and forgiving, which is how Lin Yu managed to trap me. That's the nature of an artist, but it's a weakness in a man. It won't happen again. I let out a cold chuckle. I'm so relieved. Sighing, we're square now. There's still time to fix everything. My funding deal is about to be signed, and it's a massive amount, in the hundreds of millions. I kept it from you because I wanted it to be a surprise. With money, none of our problems stand a chance. So what if we sold the old house? I'll buy you a much bigger one. I'll hire help from my parents. They've never treated you well, and I know you wouldn't want to care for them. And about children, Sighting, we will have our own. I promise you that. He didn't press the matter further. With those words, he turned and walked away. I recalled how in my previous life I kept getting fired one after another, and had to take a job as a waitress in a restaurant just to make ends meet. In that private room, neither Qin Shuyang nor my former friends recognized me with my mask on, yet they were talking about me. Shuyang, didn't you say you had feelings for Sighting? Then why is it that every time she finds a job, you manage to get her fired? Qin Shuyang let out a light chuckle. Sighting was my first love. We shared beautiful moments, and of course I still have feelings for her, but she's too proud. She walked out and divorced me without a second thought over the Lin Yu incident. I need to crush that pride first, only by letting her sink into the mud, then offering her a hand, will she learn gratitude and appreciation. In our past life, he dragged me down into the mud. In this life, I'll let him climb high first, only to fall harder. For Qin Shuyang, true revenge isn't about harming his body or reputation, it's about destroying the very foundation he relies on to survive. What truly matters to a man: career, wealth, loved ones, children, and his dignity as a man. I want him to experience the agony of falling from great heights. I will shatter everything he possesses and cherishes, piece by piece, right before his eyes. Making him suffer isn't true revenge. The real agony comes when he plunges headfirst from a honey pot into a vat of bitter herbs. That's the kind of pain that cuts to the bone. The final blow. The moment Zhongli and I showed up at the investment meeting, Qin Shuyang's face was a picture of disbelief. He quickly composed himself and even cracked a joke in front of all the investors. Are you sure you want to present this yourself, Professor Zhang? I understand your speech impediment is quite severe. I'd be happy to step in if needed. Finally, I chuckled. Zhongli is our chief designer. For something like a presentation, I'll handle it. Qin Shuyang's expression instantly darkened. Zhongli had once tried to improve his verbal communication skills. I told her that people should focus on what they're good at. There's no need to force yourself to work on your weaknesses. Her strength lies in design. I'll handle the rest. Qin Shuyang is an excellent teacher. During that period, their unreserved guidance equipped me to confidently field every question during the subsequent presentation. When I projected the immersive video of Haicheng's art exhibition hall, the investment team's faces lit up with unanimous approval. Haicheng's status as an international art hub means that market validation there enables standardized replication nationwide. The moment when applause filled the room, Qin Shuyang's face turned ashen. He seemed to have all the strength drained from his body, slumping into his seat. As I walked out of the venue, I didn't even glance in his direction. Our design firm Lidong, co-founded by Zhongli and me, successfully secured its first round of funding. I haven't seen Qin Shuyang since the day after he showed up at my place. I moved without telling a soul. 2 months later, I'm certain this hit him hard. 10. A cornered beast will do something desperate, and I don't want to put myself in any disadvantageous position. They say that after he transferred all his assets to me, he took out a huge loan, confident back then that he could repay it immediately, but now, all his hopes have turned to dust. But he got exactly what he deserved. That day, I had just finished meeting with the investor at the cafe, started the car, and was about to leave. Suddenly, Lin Yu stepped right in front of my car. She looked completely different, emaciated beyond recognition, her skin deathly pale, her eyes blazing with fury. She charged toward me, But what came out of her mouth was, "Sidong, I'm begging you, please tell Qin Shuyang to let me go. I was wrong. I never should have pushed you two to divorce. I'll make it up to you. I'll kowtow to you. Just please make him release me." Taken aback, I rolled down half the window. Her eyes were filled with terror and despair as she yanked open her collar, revealing a shocking expanse of bruises. "He's a madman. His only purpose in life is to torment me. He threatened that if I run away, my parents and child will pay the price." Citing, "You're the one he loves most. Please beg him for mercy on my behalf. I want nothing. I'll raise the child alone. I just beg him to let me go and spare my life." Watching her utterly broken and in agony, I was at a loss for words. There was a time when she proudly flaunted to me how she had stolen Qin Shuyang away, becoming his rightful wife, yet now, she's desperately pleading with me for help just to get away from Qin Shuyang. Suddenly, she shuddered, her neck stiff as she turned to look. Not far away, Qin Shuyang stood beside a car. His face was indistinct as he stared in this direction. Lin Yu let out a sharp scream, spun around, and bolted. Qin Shuyang calmly got into the car and started the engine. Then he slammed on the accelerator and sped straight toward her. Amid the crowd's horrified gasps, Lin Yu was hurled high into the air, tracing a wide arc before crashing to the ground with a sickening thud. Motionless, blood snaked its way across the ground, yet the car didn't stop. Qin Shuyang, as if consumed by madness, drove straight ahead in one direction. There, a line of kindergarten children stood frozen by the roadside. People screamed. I spun the steering wheel and floored the accelerator. After all, I've already died once. What's the worst that could happen? Another death. I gritted my teeth. I crashed head-on into Qin Shuyang's out-of-control car. Amid the deafening explosion, my consciousness began to fade. One final thought flashed through my mind. My 200 bitcoins. What a tragic waste. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying in a hospital bed. The young nurse's face lit up with surprise, but before she could speak, my feeble voice cut her off. "The year, 2025, 11. The nurse looked momentarily confused, then nodded. "Having read too many novels, my body may be paralyzed but my mind is already racing. A dream, my life flashing before my eyes. Or have I been reborn again?" The young nurse looked delighted. "You're incredibly lucky. Your heart had actually stopped beating. But in the blink of an eye, it started up again." I spent the entire day lying in bed, replaying everything that had happened. If it was just a dream, why were the details so vivid? My knowledge of those art exhibition halls felt incredibly precise and logically coherent. I could even recall every ingenious detail of the Haiqing exhibition hall. At dusk, Qin Shuyang showed up in my hospital room. He is the formidable Qin Shuyang of this lifetime. His appearance exudes refined elegance, with an air of confident composure. "Sidong, you're all alone with no one to rely on. Anyone could take advantage of you. Why not consider becoming my lover? After all, we once shared a night that forged a bond deeper than 100 days. I suddenly asked him, "What's the key to designing exhibition hall flow?" He paused briefly before blurting out, striking a balance between natural guidance and free exploration. My heart started pounding wildly. This question and the answer Qin Shuyang taught me in my dream were exactly the same, but in this lifetime, I definitely don't possess such knowledge. I fumbled for my phone to call my roommate, asking them to bring my computer over. Qin Shuyang asked with a playful smile, "Why are you suddenly asking me professional questions?" I glared at him and spat out a single icy word, "Get lost." He left with a series of contemptuous sneers. "Looks like you haven't learned your lesson yet." Half an hour later, my roommate had a delivery person bring over the computer. Moving with difficulty, I opened the laptop, logged into the website, and entered that password that seemed etched into my very soul. I closed my eyes, opened them again, and hit the confirm key. BTC 200,000. I watched in silence for a long moment, then let out a deep sigh. After successfully taking revenge on Qin Shuyang and Lin Yu, I was always haunted by a sense of regret, grieving for the version of myself in another parallel universe, to have died so helplessly and tragically while those who had hurt me continued to live happily in another reality. Perhaps my life, for a life sacrifice, moved the heavens. The heavens have been kind to me, and now I've fought my way back, even brought back a massive fortune with me. In the following days, I dutifully followed the doctor's orders with medications and injections, while constantly mapping out every single task I needed to accomplish in my mind. I found Zhongli in her apartment in the urban village. This time, she agreed to my collaboration proposal almost immediately. Curious, I asked why she was willing to trust me. After a moment's thought, she said, "Over these past few years, I've always had this feeling deep down that I was waiting for someone, That sense is what kept me going, what stopped me from giving up on myself. A month later, my eyes grew slightly moist, then I gave her a radiant smile. Yes, I'm here. Thank you for waiting. The exhibition hall industry was now saturated with replications of Chen Shuyang's standardized model, touting the slogan "Establish 500 Chen-style aesthetic art." Galleries nationwide. He had signed a valuation adjustment mechanism with foreign capital, staking his entire fortune on the bet. A new exhibition hall design firm called Lidong suddenly emerged in the industry. Unlike Chen Shuyang's standardized exhibition model, their philosophy is that art galleries should possess a unique core identity and refuse to become standardized industrial products. With strong financial backing, Lidong rapidly expanded and established a presence in major cities. Across the country, Lidong replaced the Chen's brand, becoming the premier exhibition hall highly favored by artists nationwide. 3 months later, Chen Shuyang lost his high-stakes bet and was saddled with massive debt. I then mailed him a private investigator's report. 1 year later, Chen Shuyang suffered a sudden stroke. Doctors said he had a hereditary predisposition to cerebral infarction, making his stroke risk several times higher than average, but having a stroke at such a young age was still quite unusual. It said that when he collapsed, he was still clutching a paternity test report in his hand. Side story. So I returned the favor and visited him at the hospital. He lay rigid on the bed, his face contorted, mustering all his strength to utter slurred, guttural sounds. She hit me. Call the police. She hit me. Sidong, please, help me. I leaned down and whispered softly. This is between you and your wife. As an outsider, it's not my place to interfere. She's your spouse. At most it's a domestic dispute. Why involve the police and make things messy? As I turned to leave, his eyes were filled with pain and despair. 2 years later, on Zhongli's birthday, I went to the market to buy groceries, planning to cook her a special birthday feast myself. Hearing a commotion at the next stall, I turned my head and saw Linyu. She had been caught red-handed shoplifting and was being scolded by the vendor. You're so young. You should find a proper job instead of resorting to these sneaky, dishonest tricks. With a pained expression, Linyu pleaded in a hushed voice, I've had terrible luck. I've been fired from every job I tried. With my husband bedridden and 2 children to care for, I had no choice but to resort to this. At that moment, her eyes met mine. Instantly, a wave of shame, anger, envy, and resentment washed across her face. I walked over and whispered something in her ear. Do you know why you've been fired from every job in the past 2 years? Her eyes widened abruptly. I smiled, tit for tat. Hope you enjoy the taste of your own medicine. As I stepped out of the vegetable market, I heard Linyu's piercing scream behind me. A wave of melancholy washed over me. For a moment, I couldn't decide which was more tragic, Chen Shuyang and Linyu dying together in another lifetime, or being burdened with massive debt and torturing each other in this one. But either way, they had it coming. Halfway to Zhongli's villa, I encountered a school letting out for the day. I stopped well in advance to let the children cross first. As I waited, it suddenly dawned on me that this was the very intersection where Chen Shuyang and I had our car accident. Just then, a group of middle school students filed past the front of the car, radiating youthful energy with bright smiles. They waved to me one by one. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I reached out my hand too, waving energetically in their direction. The end. Story 2. Qingzhe has disliked me since we were young. He said that I would only bring him bad luck. Later, he injured his hand while rescuing me from a big fire. He could no longer hold a scalpel. With red eyes, he said, I will never let you go for the rest of my life. In this new life, I decided to stay away from him obediently until later. I saw him with scarlet eyes at the corners, doing unspeakable things while holding my photo. Oh no, he, the unreachable flower on the high mountain, has gone dark. 1. Student MOU. For this volleyball game, who do you want to team up with? Student MOU. Someone called me. I suddenly came to my senses and felt dazed, looking at everything familiar yet strange in front of me. After the car accident, did I travel through time? Who else could it be? Of course, she'll cling to the thigh of her childhood sweetheart. Everyone knows that the two of them are like conjoined twins. Wherever Qingzhe goes, MOU follows. Someone made fun of me. This was a tennis class in college. My classmates looked at me with ambiguous eyes, but they didn't know that I shivered. When I heard the name Qingzhe in my previous life, Qingzhe rushed into the fire to save me and injured his hand. He could no longer hold a scalpel. The night after he came out of the operating room, I dared to go and see him. At that time, he was lying on the hospital bed. His eyes were obviously red from crying, extremely red. He gritted his teeth and said to me, MOU, I will never let you go for the rest of my life. The guilt and fear of having done something wrong almost engulfed me. Ching Zay's resentful face also lingered in my mind and became a nightmare at the moment. He was standing beside the teacher, choosing a tennis racket. After hearing the commotion, he just gave me a faint glance and then, as if resigned to his fate, started to pick the second one. The lights in the indoor tennis court shone on his originally pale and cold skin, making it dazzlingly white. Outstanding is probably the word to describe someone like him. He has been good-looking since childhood, had excellent grades, and was also talented in sports. When he grew up, he realized his dream and became a doctor at a young age. He was already an attending physician in a top tertiary hospital in the capital. With a medical family background, he should have had a smooth and successful career if it weren't for me. After the teacher called me for the third time impatiently, I almost randomly pointed with a sense of urgency. Him. The surroundings fell silent. Chingzai's movement of bending over to choose the racket also visibly froze. Even the teacher raised his eyebrows in surprise. The guy I pointed at looked behind him. After finding no one there, his pupils dilated in shock. He pointed at himself and mouthed silently, "Me." The whole class burst into laughter at this sight. Everyone knew that my tennis skills were extremely poor. Every time I teamed up with Chingzai, even a sports master like him would be dragged down by me and lose the game. The teacher asked Chingzai jokingly, "Chingzai, do you have any objections?" It was as if he was asking a family member. Chingzai walked over. When he passed by me, his eyebrows and eyes were cold. "Whatever she wants. I really hope she won't hold me back." Too, my throat choked up, and it took me a long time to suppress the uncomfortable feeling. Chingzai has disliked me since we were young. He said that I would only bring him bad luck. In fact, he was right. Probably no one in the whole world likes me. I was born as a person with extremely ominous horoscopes, a harbinger of bad luck. When I was 8 years old, my parents died in a plane crash. My grandmother was heartbroken and said that I had caused their deaths, so she refused to adopt me. After raising me for 5 years, my grandmother also passed away due to a heart attack. My relatives were coveting the huge inheritance left to me by my parents, yet they also feared my horoscopes. Only the neighbor's family, who had watched me grow up, took pity on me and took me in. They said with determination, "The fortune teller said that Xiaozai's horoscope is extremely strong, you can just test it for him." Since then, I became a burden to the Qing family. Naturally, I also stuck to Chingzai. He was the one they said had an extremely strong horoscope until he was 9 years old. He broke his leg while trying to help me save a kitten from a tree at the age of 12, because he passed me the answers. He was punished to make a self-criticism in front of the whole school with me. When he was 15, Ching Zai agreed to my unreasonable request and accompanied me to set off fireworks in the yard. I lost control, and a spark landed on his clothes. Soon, it caught fire. We were in a hurry to put out the fire, but on his arm, an ugly scar was left forever. He finally couldn't hold it in anymore and shouted at me angrily, "Mo Yu, can you stay away from me? Since you were a child, you've only brought me bad luck." At that time, my desire for friends was much stronger than my self-esteem. I still followed him like a little tail that couldn't be shaken off. But what about Chingzai's future, or even his life? I shouldn't be selfish. "Chingzai, don't worry this time, I will definitely stay far away from you and will never hold you back again." 3. Without my dragging him down, Chingzai and his new partner really had a tacit understanding. His gaze was firm, and his face was so serious that it was intimidating. He became stronger and stronger as the game went on. The score was already overwhelming, and there was no suspense about the outcome. However, I sprained my ankle when catching the last ball. A loud whistle blew. "Stop," the PE teacher shouted loudly. "Someone come and carry MOU to the infirmary." Through the net, I saw from a distance that Chingzai immediately dropped his racket and was about to run over. Chingzai is a good person, although he has a cold exterior but a warm heart. Although he dislikes me, he also remembers his promise to his parents and will protect and take care of me as if I were his own sister. But I can't cause him trouble anymore. Enduring the pain, I bared my teeth and smiled at my partner. "Classmate, could you take me to the infirmary, please?" I reached out and pulled on the leg of his sports pants. Then I showed my canine teeth and threatened in a low voice, "Otherwise, I'll pull your pants off." The boy who had been hesitating quickly picked me up and rushed straight to the infirmary. I was in so much pain that I was almost fainting. My head tilted, and just before I closed my eyes, I saw Chingzai's direction. He stood there, his face stiff, and didn't take another step forward. "Chingzai, see, I didn't trouble you this time either, for I was transferred from the infirmary to the provincial hospital near the school." That kind-hearted guy accompanied me all the way. I asked gratefully, "Classmate, what's your name?" He showed an expression as if the sky was falling. You chose me as your partner and asked me to send you to the hospital. People who don't know might think you have a crush on me, yet you don't even know my name. I scratched my head in embarrassment. He said angrily, Yang, could I trouble you with one more thing? Could you bring me food for a few days? He jumped up and down in anger. I'm warning you, don't push your luck, I'll pay you. He shook his head. One should not be swayed by poverty. I stretched out 2 fingers, 200 yuan a day, and the meal money is separate. Your humble servant is here, miss, you can rest assured. And recover, I'll take care of everything. Thanks to Yang, I had already started eating before Chingzhe came to bring me food. He stood at the door holding a lunchbox, frowning as he watched me eating until oil was dripping from the corner of my mouth. He said stiffly, didn't the doctor tell you that you shouldn't eat greasy food during your recuperation? Yang's eyes lit up and he stood up suddenly. I'll immediately prepare some light food for Miss Student Mou. He has such great professional ethics. I gave an approving look at Yang's departing back, but I didn't know that this look took on a different meaning in Chingzhe's eyes. His hand holding the lunchbox tightened a bit. What's wrong with you today? I turned my head to look at him in confusion. What's wrong with what? His Adam's apple moved, and it took him a long time to reluctantly say, in your previous tennis classes, didn't you always team up with me? I lowered my head and started eating, mumbling. Didn't you always think my playing was bad? I didn't, anyway. I also want to make some new friends. New friends? His eyes narrowed slightly as he repeated the words one by one. Yeah, didn't you tell me since I was a child that I shouldn't just follow you and that I should make more other friends? Also, you don't need to bring me food anymore. Yang will bring it to me. After a long time, he sneered. Why didn't I see you being so obedient before? Fine, I'll have an easy time. I can have a few days of peaceful days without anyone bothering me. He turned around and left without hesitation. I held back the sourness in my eyes and comforted myself. Very good, Mou, you have taken the second step. You have been able to refuse Chingzhe's care. When Yang came back, half of the soup in the takeout bowl had spilled. He chattered and complained, is that Chingzhe crazy? The road is so wide. Why did he bump into me? You're familiar with him. Was his cerebellum underdeveloped when he was a child? Does he always sway when he walks? Hey, wait a minute, miss, why are you crying? It was the saltiness of the food that made me cry. 5. When I came to the classroom to attend class on crutches, I saw that the teacher who had always disliked me showed obvious relief in his eyes. Probably he thought I was strong in spirit despite my physical disability. In fact, it was because Yang told me that this class would cover the key points for the final exam. Chingzhe sat in the first row as usual, his back straight, and he was looking at the blackboard seriously. His gaze didn't even fall on me once. The seat next to him was empty. In the past, I would definitely have sat over there with a playful smile. Then, under the teacher's disappointed gaze, I would have slept through the whole morning. But now, Yang and I secretly huddled in the last row. Miss, didn't I tell you that I would draw the key points and lend them to you to copy later? Rely on him. I looked at him with disdain at the 2 big dark circles under his eyes because of staying up all night playing games. Forget it. In class, the 2 of us were just about to write quickly, but the teacher just casually pointed out a few places and then said calmly, except for the few places I just pointed out, everything else is key. I flipped through this brick-like textbook with more than 600 pages. I stared at Yang. It really felt like the sky had fallen. As soon as the class bell rang, I angrily picked up my crutches and left. Where are you going? To find the department head to change my major. WOC, Miss is so heroic, I'll go with you. Before the 2 of us could take a step, a gloomy voice came from behind. You want to change your major? I felt a chill down my back. When I turned around, I saw Chingzhe holding a notebook and looking at me with a gloomy face. Did he encourage you to do this? Yang, may the heavens distinguish between the loyal and the treacherous. Looking at Chingzhe's clenched fist, I silently protected Yang behind me. I want to change my major myself. I don't like this major. Chingzhe was stunned. Why? Didn't you say since you were a child that you admired Hua Tua and that you also wanted to study medicine to save lives when you grew up? He tilted his head and looked at me in confusion. I closed my eyes. I didn't dare to open them. People can't even empathize with their past selves. Who knows what nonsense I used to come up with just to be able to stay by Chingzhe's side when I was a child. I said that when I was naive. Why do you still remember it? Anyway, I don't like this major, and I must change it. I was too guilty to look at his face. I turned around and pulled Yang, ready to run. I only heard a disappointed and cold sentence from behind. Mou, it seems that I still don't know you well enough. whatever you do, you're half-hearted. I sniffed my sour nose. Chingze, you still don't understand. I'm doing this for your own good. How dare I use your future as a sacrifice for my selfishness? 6 Since that class, Chingze and I haven't said a word to each other. It has always been me who took the initiative to find Chingze since I didn't contact him. Naturally, he wouldn't contact me either. Yang and I, however, established a deep friendship and we decided to transfer to the School of Liberal Arts together next semester. According to his words, the two of us are both warriors trapped in the cage of the School of Medicine because of love. When I wanted to ask him more about it, he refused to say more. 7 The tennis club proposed that after the final exam week, everyone go for a barbecue dinner together. We were all freshmen. Our enthusiasm for socializing was burning brightly. Both Chingze and I were members of the tennis club. At first, I joined the tennis club to improve my tennis skills, and then I pestered Chingze to join with me. But the courses in the School of Medicine were really too full, and I only came to the club a few times in total. Naturally, my tennis skills didn't improve. Chingze has always had little interest in this kind of gathering. He would rather stay in the laboratory as his follower. I would naturally sleep outside the laboratory and wait for him anyway. It's the same to sleep anywhere, right? So, the club president was a bit surprised when I signed up for this dinner, a rare guest. When I got there, I found that I wasn't the only rare guest. 8 The club president rented a villa with a lawn in the countryside. After having the barbecue and hot pot, everyone gathered around the campfire and played the game You Have Something I Don't. Chingze walked straight over and sat beside me. There were quiet jeers around, and people's eyes kept moving between the two of us. Did Chingze forget that we had a quarrel a few days ago? I moved to the side. He grabbed my arm and pulled me back, his tone displeased. What are you hiding from? Am I a plague god? I immediately lowered my head and pretended to be dead. The club president came out to smooth things over and asked the first question. After chuckling twice, he said cunningly, I was admitted without taking the exam. This immediately stirred up public anger. Showing off, Yuan Bo, what are you pretending for? You're a pretentious guy. Kick him out. Despite the commotion, except for the club president and Chingze, everyone else put down one finger. Chingze was also admitted without taking the exam. Moreover, he could have been admitted to an even better school. 2 top universities were competing for him, but I tried my best and still didn't get admitted. Later, when filling out the college entrance examination application, he directly took my application form and copied it. He has always been so calm and rational. S University is not bad either. Its ranking is only second to those 2 universities, and its medical major is top-notch in the country. I turned my head and secretly looked at him, but I happened to meet his dark eyes, serious, focused, and also filled with resentment. I felt even more guilty. Chingze probably hates me a lot, right? Because of me, he gave up a better future. 9 The second question. It was the turn of a cute girl on the left side of the club president. Her cheeks were flushed, and she quickly glanced at the tall boy sitting opposite her. I have someone I like. Oh, everyone looked at the two of them with ambiguous eyes. The boy was so intrigued that his face was almost blushing. I stared at them, lost in thought. So, is a crush this obvious? In fact, my roommate Shafu once asked me if I liked Chingze since I followed him around every day. Do I like Chingze? When I was a child, the people I liked the most were my parents. Later, they died in a plane crash. After that, the person I liked the most was my grandmother, but she also left me soon. Since then, I no longer dared to like anyone, so I smiled and replied to her, I just regard Chingze as my brother. He's the only one who plays with me. After coming back to my senses, I silently put down one finger. I don't have someone I like, and I don't dare to have someone I like anymore. Chingze's hand was leaning towards my side, and his 5 slender and fair fingers were just hanging in the air openly. For some reason, my heart suddenly twitched. It turns out that Chingze already has someone he likes. I heard that Chingze has been getting very close to the beauty of the department recently. Last time, I even saw them coming out of the laboratory together, chatting and laughing. I sniffed my sour nose. Chingze can't stay by my side forever and be my brother alone. I will definitely have a sister-in-law in the future. Before the feeling of sadness faded away, my hand had already clenched into a fist, and all 5 fingers were down. MOU lost. Come on, have a drink. The club president wickedly poured me half a glass of wine just as I was about to reach out to take it. Chingze intercepted it. His eyebrows and eyes were cold. I'll drink for her. No need, I lost, so I'll drink it myself. You're a girl, how will you get back to the dormitory if you get drunk? I said distantly. I sent a message to Bai Yang, he'll drive to pick me up later. For some reason, Chingzai's face darkened even more. He looked at me as if he wanted to cut me into pieces. Then, without saying a word, he drank the wine in the glass in one gulp just after showing off his coolness. The next second, he fell straight onto me. What on earth is Chingzai pretending for? He can't hold his liquor at all, just one glass and he's out. 10 Chingzai, when he's drunk, is even harder to control than a pig during the spring festival. Less than 2 minutes after falling down, he was clamoring to go back to school. Whoever tried to support him would get slapped twice, and he would just keep falling onto me. When Bai Yang came, he even received a series of fierce slaps with great difficulty. We dragged Chingzai into the car. I looked at Bai Yang's Audi A7 in shock. This guy calls me Miss all day long. It turns out that he's the real young master. Bai Yang looked at him, then at me. He said in an embarrassed tone, Miss, why don't you sit in the passenger seat? Just leave him in the back seat. I'm afraid he'll go crazy from the alcohol and bite someone. Chingzai hugged me even tighter. There was no other way, so I had to sit in the back seat with him. I don't want to ride in his car. He leaned on my shoulder and complained. Say that again, and I'll throw you out. I threatened him. Chingzai shut up and smacked his lips twice. The corners of my mouth curled into a sneaky smile. Chingzai is usually cold and serious, but once he drinks alcohol, his temperament changes completely. The first time I saw Chingzai drunk was in our senior year of high school. Chingzai, who had always been serious and solemn, stood by the rooftop singing out of tune Love You, and we couldn't even pull him back. A bump jolted my thoughts back. Bai Yang glanced at him with a look of disgust through the rearview mirror. He probably was still holding a grudge for the slaps just now. He said resentfully, Miss, let me tell you, a man who can hit people is not someone you should be with. We definitely can't be stuck on this crooked tree. If you want to find a boyfriend, I'll introduce someone to you. I know all kinds of 188 centimeters cute boys and mixed-race handsome guys. My eyes lit up. Really? Suddenly, a sharp pain came from my shoulder. Bai Yang was right. How can this guy really bite people when he's drunk? After biting me, he even looked aggrieved on his own. I'm also 188 centimeters tall. After saying that, he completely fell into a deep sleep. 11 When I woke up the next day, I saw a message from Chingzai. When are you buying the plane ticket to come back? I laughed out of anger. This guy doesn't even remember that he bit someone after his hangover. And I hold grudges. You can go back by yourself. I made an appointment with Bai Yang to go on a trip. The typing status on the other side kept flashing. It took a long time for him to reply with a message. Are you serious? It's fake. That guy is so poor now that all he has left is an Audi A7. He even mooches off me for meals. Under my intense questioning, Bai Yang finally told me the truth. He had a conflict with his family. Now, not only has his credit card been blocked, but he's also making a living by washing dishes in the school cafeteria. What a story of a down-and-out young master wandering around. Feeling sorry for him, I suggested taking him to a restaurant. He wolfed down the food as if he hadn't eaten for 3 days, and mumbled with his mouth full, Miss, remember to reimburse me for the gas money from last night. Just as he finished speaking, a beautiful couple walked over side by side. Chingzai and the beauty of the department. Bai Yang and I stiffened at the same time. Both of them are outstanding people. Whether it's their appearance or their academic performance, they are at the top level. They are really a perfect match. They sat at the table next to us. Bai Yang's eyes wandered for a while before he dared to secretly glance at the beauty of the department for a moment. I understood immediately. For some reason, I suddenly felt a sense of empathy, as if we were both people who had fallen on hard times. So I picked up a big drumstick and put it in his bowl. 2 fierce gazes landed on me at the same time. Something's not right. Why is the plot going wrong? It's understandable that Chingzai is glaring at me, but why is the beauty of the department glaring at me too? Pretty sister, I didn't provoke you. Bai Yang was still carefree and didn't notice the strange atmosphere. Miss, is it true that you said you would take me on a trip? Chingzai finally couldn't stand it anymore and stood up, slapping the table. His beautiful eyebrows were almost knitted together, and his eyes seemed to want to bore a hole in me. MOU, you're not going home just for a guy who lives off women, right? The beauty of the department cast an unhappy glance between the two of us, and then looked at Bai Yang with an unfriendly expression. Bai Yang, I didn't expect that after not seeing you for so long, you've already resorted to living off women. You really disappoint me. I waved my hand, trying to explain. We just want to go out and have some fun and get to know each other better. Get to know each other better. Chingzai raised his eyebrows, filled with anger. Bai Yang also put down his chopsticks. No, she insisted on spending money on me, and of course, I'm happy to accept it. Chingze, she insisted on spending money on you, the beauty of the department, you're happy to accept it, great, the more I explain, the worse it gets. It really seems like I'm a young lady and he's a guy who lives off women. Chingze's Adam's apple rolled, the corners of his eyes turned red, and his eyes stared fixedly at Bai Yang, his well-defined fingers clenched into a fist, and the veins on his hands bulged. I know Chingze, he's always calm and self-controlled, and he's indifferent in dealing with things. This is a sign that he's angry. I quickly pulled Bai Yang and slipped away. We have something else to do, we're leaving now. 12. Halfway through our escape, Bai Yang finally dared to ask me timidly, MOU, has your childhood sweetheart ever killed someone? Why do I feel like his eyes just now were trying to torture me to death? I thought seriously for 2 seconds and then nodded slowly. Hesitantly, Chingze hasn't killed anyone, but he did almost cripple a lecherous man's private parts for my sake. In the first year of junior high school, there was a flasher on my way home from school. He was probably a pedophile and had molested primary school students before. I was so scared that I burst into tears. At that time, Chingze was just like he was just now, his eyes red with anger, his fists clenched. He almost beat that guy to a pulp before sending him to the police station, and he himself was seriously injured and stayed in the hospital for half a month. Bai Yang was even more terrified, his face wrinkled. Miss, does your childhood sweetheart like you? Chingze likes me. How is that possible? Since he was a child, he has hated me the most and been annoyed by me the most. He protected me just because he regarded me as a troublesome sister. That resentful face appeared in front of my eyes again. MOU. I will never let you go for the rest of my life. I shook my head, trying to shake off this shadow from my mind. He sees me as bad luck and a burden, but I'm also a responsibility that he can't avoid. He just regards me as his sister. Then why do I feel like he has a strong hostility towards me? I looked at the yellow hair on Bai Yang's head and touched my chin thoughtfully. According to my experience on the internet, no brother will have a good impression of a guy with yellow hair. You're the one with yellow hair. This is a genuine 24K pure blonde hair color. He grabbed my shoulders and shook me vigorously. I felt dizzy from the shaking. How dare you? I'm the young lady. The proletariat has to resist once in a while, right? My phone vibrated. At that time, everyone was still using QQ, and Chingze was my special concern. He sent me a message. MOU. Do you like him? I recalled the scene of Chingze and the beauty of the department standing together just now. He's naturally cold and has never liked the approach of the opposite sex since he was a child. During his adolescence, he could be so abstinent that he regarded pornographic videos as garbage and drugs. Now that he can go in and out with the beauty of the department, he probably has developed feelings for her. He should be standing beside a better person. My chest felt stuffy, and I typed back to him, Chingze, this has nothing to do with you. Who I make friends with and who I like have nothing to do with you. I've grown up. Don't worry about me anymore. It wasn't until I heard Bai Yang apologize in a panic that I realized there were wet things running down my cheeks. Miss, why are you crying again? I was wrong. I won't shake you anymore. I wiped away my tears. I'm not crying. It's just the wind. When we reached the corner, out of the corner of my eye, Chingze was still standing in the restaurant. His gaze passed through the transparent floor-to-ceiling glass and landed on me. His expression obscure. 13. Bai Yang and I didn't go on the trip, because Chingze told me that Uncle Ching and Aunt Ching would come back from abroad in advance before the spring festival and wanted to have a reunion dinner together. I believed it. Then I was deceived. I looked at the empty villa. Only Chingze was sitting on the sofa, his legs crossed, his hands clasped and placed on his knees. In a full state of scrutiny, I picked up my suitcase and turned around, wanting to leave. Suppressing his anger, he said in a low voice, MOU, let's talk. I sat back down as if resigned to my fate and stared at the floor, lost in a daze. Why on earth have you become like this? I played dumb. Like what? Chingze's eyes narrowed dangerously. You used to just follow me around, didn't you? What's going on? Do you have new friends and have forgotten about me? Me? I've grown up. Chingze. Chingze lowered his voice, and his tone became dangerous. It's this, I've grown up again. I'd rather you didn't grow up and were always as clingy and obedient as when you were a child. I vaguely felt that the atmosphere was a bit off. I always felt that Chingze had been possessed by someone. The previous him was gentle and cold, and he would never be like a vaguely angry beast now, wanting to swallow people up. I stood up abruptly. My friend has something to ask me. I'm going out for a while. He suddenly grabbed my wrist. You want to go find Bai Yang again? Are you together? He was gripping me so tightly that it hurt. I also felt a bit of dissatisfaction. So what if we are? What right do you have to control me? Chingze completely exploded. He pulled me closer. What right do I have to control you, MOU? I brought you up. I helped you clean up the mess every time you caused trouble when you were a child. The person who has always been by your side is me. Now you're asking me what right I have to control you. He's right. He brought me up. Uncle Ching is the president of a pharmaceutical company, and Aunt Ching is also a tycoon in the medical field. They are both very busy. Over the years, Chingze has been both a father and a mother to me. I felt a pang of guilt in my heart. However, I'm a harbinger of bad luck. If I get close to Chingze, I will only bring him bad luck. He should have a bright future. If I really want what's best for him, I should stay far away from him at least I should protect his hand. I lowered my head. Chingze, just think of me as heartless. Please don't worry about me anymore. I don't need you to take care of me. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Bai Yang. Chingze saw it too. For the first time, he snatched my phone, then he locked me up. 14 When I heard the door being locked, I was still too shocked to come to my senses. Is he crazy? Chingze, let me out. Are you insane? But no matter how much I banged on the door, all I could hear was a faint, sorry, and the sound of footsteps getting farther and farther away. Something's not right. Chingze is not acting right. I sat back on my bed, trying to calm down and figure out his abnormal behavior. Even if he objects to me being with Bai Yang, he wouldn't go this far. Or could it be? Absolutely impossible. The moment that thought came up, I firmly rejected it. Finally, it was the aunt who came to clean at the fixed time who opened the door for me. I ran downstairs and was just about to confront Chingze when I only saw the messy wine bottles in the living room. How much did he drink? Most of my anger dissipated, leaving only a bit of worry. I knocked on Chingze's bedroom door, planning to get my phone back, but after knocking several times, there was no response from inside. I pressed my ear against the door, but I didn't hear any sound either. Normally, Chingze is quite rowdy when he's drunk, and I have a deep impression of that. Could he have alcohol poisoning? The shadow of my previous life once again enveloped me, and my heart seemed to be about to jump out. Could it be that I still hurt him? I twisted the doorknob like a madman. As soon as I opened the door, an extremely faint and sticky moan completely cut off my rational nerves. Chingze was sitting on the floor, looking at the end of the bed. In front of him was a huge projection screen. When I was a child, I often came to his room to watch movies with it, but now, there was only a photo of me hanging on that screen. The room was not lit. In the dimness, only a faint white light fell on the man's confused face. The corners of Chingze's eyes were crimson, his eyes were filled with a watery light, his lips were slightly parted, and he was still moaning intermittently. Looking further down, my legs went weak, my heart stopped for a moment, and I unconsciously took a step back, bumping into the door behind me. Chingze looked over, as if blaming me for disturbing his mood, and his eyebrows furrowed slightly. Sorry for the interruption. Why you can continue. I'll leave now. Just as I turned around in a panic, I heard a sticky MOU coming from behind. Then came a heavy gasp. My mind went completely blank. 15 The next morning, Chingze knocked on my door and asked me to have breakfast. He looked natural, as if he had forgotten everything that happened after he got drunk. On the contrary, I was so unnatural at the dining table that he frowned and asked me, "What's wrong with you today? You've choked 3 times while eating." After saying that, he thoughtfully handed me a glass of milk. I coughed twice and quickly took a sip. Chingze's eyes looking at me became darker and darker. Then he reached out his hand, his index finger gently lifting my chin, and his thumb slowly rubbing across the corner of my lips. His eyes landed on my lips. Full of aggression, I widened my eyes and was just about to back away when he retracted his hand in time and then naturally started eating his breakfast. I had been so curious about what happened last night that I couldn't sleep all night. Come on, just ask. But the words turned around in my mouth several times, and I still couldn't ask. As soon as I thought of the scene from last night, my face began to feel hot. "If you want to ask something, just ask," he said. "Do you still remember?" "It's nothing. I want to go out for a while. Please give me back my phone first." I felt that if I stayed at home any longer, I would really explode from holding it in. No matter what explanation Chingze gave for his actions last night, I couldn't accept it for the time being, so I chose not to ask. "I remember." He took a sip of soybean milk. "I remember everything I did last night. Anyway, it's not the first time. You don't have to be so nervous." My behavior when I'm drunk may not be good, but I have a good memory," he continued. "I remember the time I kissed you when I was drunk in our senior year of high school, and the time I held you in the car during the last club dinner." My mind went blank. I opened my mouth. I had so many things to ask, But it seemed like I couldn't ask anything. Subconsciously, I said, Chingze, do you like me? He lowered his eyes, and his earlobes turned red unnaturally. He nodded slightly, almost imperceptibly, as if he was shy. I froze completely. 16. I made an excuse to go to the supermarket to buy some New Year's goods. Wanting to calm down, Lu Dehua's Wish You Prosperity was playing in the supermarket, and the atmosphere of the Chinese New Year was very strong. Chingze followed me closely, and I couldn't shake him off. What's more, his temperament had changed completely, and his tone when speaking to me was so gentle that it seemed to be dripping with tenderness. I pleaded, brother, can you be normal? Chingze was a bit angry. Don't call me brother. I was taken aback. Chingze had never liked me calling him brother since we were young. I originally thought he was annoyed with me, but now I got my phone back and started frantically sending messages to Bai Yang. Chingze likes me. Do you think he's crazy? Bai Yang, even a dog on the street can see it, but you can't. Chingze seemed to be picking and choosing in front of the shelves, but in fact, his eyes would glance at my phone screen from time to time. He chuckled. Even that fool can see it, but you can't. I was dissatisfied. Don't call him a fool. Chingze raised his eyebrows and laughed angrily. He's been secretly in love with Chingshui for so long but didn't dare to confess. It made her so angry that she thought he was going to play with her feelings and abandon her. The title of fool wasn't given by me. Chingshui was the beauty of the department, so they were an alliance of lovelorn people at that time. Chingze pushed the shopping cart and continued walking forward, leaving me standing there in a daze. There was the sound of footsteps approaching from behind. A surprised voice brought my senses back. "Mou, it's really you." I looked at the person in front of me for a long time before I had some impression. Chinan smiled. "It's me. You still remember me. Well, I also gave you a love letter in high school. The handwriting was ugly, so you might have some impression." He scratched his head awkwardly and stammered, do you have a boyfriend now? What love letter? Before I could ask, Chingze took my hand, his tone cold and hard. "Was the lesson I gave you last time not enough?" Chinan left with an embarrassed face after saying goodbye to me. After Chinan left, I asked him through gritted teeth, "What love letter? Did you throw away all my love letters?" I said that I was beautiful and did well in my studies in high school. Why didn't anyone confess to me? So the obstacle was here. Chingze's face looked a bit unnatural, and he said stiffly, "Just to prevent you from having a puppy love. These people were still giving you love letters in the senior year of high school. Isn't that harming you? Especially this guy. He would stuff them into your locker at 5 o'clock sharp every morning, which made me unable to sleep well. So, for a while in the senior year of high school, Chingze went to school at 5 o'clock for a whole month. I thought he was annoyed with me and didn't want to go to school with me. It turned out that he was throwing away my love letters. Me, Chingze. Don't you think you're meddling too much in my business?" His face changed, and he held my hand even tighter, as if afraid that I would leave out of anger. "I'm not meddling in your business, I'm just eliminating those who oppose me." His face turned red again. "It's enough to have me by your side, I will protect you well." As he spoke, the corners of his eyes also turned a little red. He looked at me stubbornly and said, "Since we were young, haven't I protected you well? It's enough to have me. Why do you still look at others? Oh no. Why has the unreachable flower on the high mountain turned into a yandere?" Thinking carefully, Chingze has really been very good to me. The harshest words he ever said to me were just that sentence, "You will only bring me bad luck," when we were young and ignorant during our adolescence. But it was that sentence that made me want to stay away from him. My heart was in a mess. I shook off his hand and was still a bit dazed until we checked out and left. Chingze just quietly followed behind me, his eyebrows and eyes melancholy and dim, but his gaze never moved for a moment until his exclamation, "Mou, be careful." Then came the harsh screeching sound of the tires rubbing against the ground as the wheels made an emergency stop. I was pushed away. 17. Chingze was sent to the operating room. I sat on the chair outside, my body shaking uncontrollably, because I'm a harbinger of bad luck. That's why my parents, whose careers were booming and who loved each other deeply, were killed because of me. Because I'm a harbinger of bad luck. That's why my grandmother, who loved me, suddenly died of a heart attack at home. Because I'm a harbinger of bad luck. That's why the people around me will all get hurt. Those who love me and those I love will all be implicated by me. Tears streamed down my face in big drops, and I sobbed uncontrollably. Fear almost enveloped my entire body. I like Chingze, I just dare not admit it. During the 2-hour operation, every minute and every second, I was in an extreme hell. I was in a daze, thinking, why wasn't it me who was hit? Why wasn't it me who died back then? It wasn't until the operation was successful and Chingze, who was still in a coma after being given anesthesia, was transferred to a general ward that I was pulled back from hell, but I didn't dare to see him. After paying the medical expenses, I sat on a stone pier at the entrance of the hospital in a daze until Chingze found me in a wheelchair. He sighed and wiped the undried tears on my face with his thumb. Why are you crying like a little cat? I choked back a sob and apologized. I'm sorry. He looked at me with pity. I'm not blaming you, but I'm the one who hurt you. I'm a harbinger of bad luck. I've only brought you trouble since we were young. My family members were all killed because of me. Chingze, I don't want to kill you too. He frowned. Is this why you've been distancing yourself from me? I raised my wrinkled face from crying and nodded. He laughed angrily and flicked my forehead. You've at least received Marxist education. Can you have some materialist thinking? How can someone be a harbinger of bad luck by nature? But that's what they all say. Chingze was both angry and felt sorry for me. Don't listen to their nonsense. Everyone has their own destined fate. The death and misfortune of anyone have nothing to do with you. Why do you have to take the blame on yourself? But you also said that I would only bring you bad luck, and I have indeed brought you a lot of bad things. All the injuries you've suffered since we were young were because of me. A look of guilt appeared on Chingze's face. Sorry, those were just angry words at that time. I'm really sorry, but I didn't get hurt because of you. It's because I love you. I love you, so I want to protect you. All the consequences brought about by love should not be borne by the one being loved. This is my own choice, and I'm willing to pay the price for this choice. I was still crying sadly, but Chingze, I always feel that my life is like a curse, and I can't get out of it. He gently pulled me into his arms, his tone full of pity. It's not that you can't get out of the curse, it's that you can't get over the death of your loved ones. Finally, I burst into tears. He coaxed me softly. I've liked you since we were young. Protecting you isn't a responsibility. It's because I like you, because I love you, so please don't push me away anymore. Okay, since we were young, it's not that you can't live without me, but that I can't live without you. After saying that, he hugged me even tighter, feeling insecure. Even if you push me away, it doesn't matter. In this life, I will never let you go. I was suddenly stunned. Chingze also said this sentence in my previous life. However, it once became my nightmare, and I didn't want to recall it. But was it really as I thought before, that he said it out of resentment? I originally thought that my death in the previous life would be a relief and something to be glad about for Chingze. For some reason, my heart felt as if it had been hollowed out, bringing boundless empty fear. I said blankly, Chingze, if one day I die. He almost embedded me into his body. There's no if. In this life, I will protect you, and you will have a safe and smooth life. I asked him eagerly, if I really die, what will you do? What should you do? He smiled bitterly. I don't know. I can't live without you. If what you said is true, that there are strange forces and supernatural things in the world and that people have their own fates, then let me bear all the misfortunes in your life. Suddenly, it went pitch black in front of my eyes, and I fainted. 18 When I woke up again, I was in the hospital bed. Only Chingze was by my side, numbly guarding me, his empty eyes staring at my hand in a daze. I didn't know how long he hadn't slept. His white eyes were filled with bloodshot eyes, and there was a stubble of beard on his chin. He looked in a daze, just like I was when I was waiting outside the operating room. I moved my fingers, wanting to touch his face. He suddenly raised his head, and in his eyes that met mine, there was great surprise and hope for life, as if he was the one who had survived a disaster. Seryu, I'm sorry. Tears welled up in his eyes. I almost forgot that I had been in a car accident to save him. I wanted to repay his kindness. I smiled. Chingze, you once told me that all the consequences brought about by love should not be borne by the one being loved. I love you too. There were footsteps at the door of the ward, and two familiar figures walked in holding hands. It was Bai Yang and Ching Shui. Oh my, miss, you're showing affection again. The sunlight shone in through the window. Here, there is everything I love. 19 After the car accident, did I travel through time? Until I told him about the guilt in my heart. Chingze expressed, who said my childhood dream was to study medicine. He helplessly supported his forehead. Since I was a child, whenever I was sick, it was my mom who gave me injections. I've always hated this profession deeply. I was shocked. Then why did you? Chingze, wasn't it you who said since you were a child that Hua Tuo was your idol? I just copied your college entrance examination application, realizing that there was a misunderstanding. I smiled awkwardly. don't worry, I'll help my dad manage the company in the future. Since I can't do surgery anymore, I still have the family business to inherit, but I'll remember the thing about you delaying my future, MOU, in this life, you have to be with me. This guy can finally speak like a normal person. Story 2, the young master of the Xia family in Wangjing, a paragon of elegance and handsomeness, had nothing to do with me. However, one day, he suddenly grabbed my sleeve, his eyes red-rimmed. It's not too late, we haven't divorced yet. In this life, let's start anew. I was gnawing on a marinated pig's trotter and was taken aback. But I'm not planning to marry you either. 1. Xiaoyu was a flawless jade, a man coveted by many. He was the ideal husband that countless young ladies yearned for, including my elder sister by birth, Chen Jingxian. She said that young Master Xia would surely rise to a high position in the court in the future, and she was determined to strive for him, but Xiaoyu had a cold and aloof demeanor, sparing no kind words for anyone. One day, my elder sister accidentally fell into the water. When she woke up, she suddenly slapped me and said, "You infatuated fool, don't like Xiaoyu, and don't marry him." I stared at her in bewilderment. You can scold yourself if you want, but why hit me? Besides, it's not like I can marry Xiaoyu just because I want to. The Xia family was an aristocratic family that had endured for centuries, a family of great wealth and influence. Even a princess might not be able to marry into it. Before I could regain my senses, my step-mother had dragged my elder sister out and whipped her. "How dare you hit your sister? I think you've lost your mind. Your sister hasn't even been betrothed yet." My elder sister suddenly burst into laughter. Good, this is wonderful." She laughed until tears streamed down her face. She got up, her clothes still wet, and hugged me. "It's truly the heaven's blessing that my Azu hasn't been betrothed yet. In this life, I won't let you marry that scoundrel again." 2. My elder sister pulled me and our step-mother into the room, dismissed the servants, and after taking a deep breath, she began to tell her story. She said she was reborn. In her previous life, I tripped during a banquet and fell directly into Xiaoyu's arms. One look at Xiaoyu, and you could see his grace and charm, his eyebrows and eyes as beautiful as a painting. He instinctively caught me, and we spun around on the spot. Then we both landed on the ground, with me on top of him. Xiaoyu didn't have a heartbeat, heart flutter, referring to a feeling of being attracted. Neither did I, but Xiaoyu's mother did. When she saw me knock Xiaoyu to the ground, she thought I was sturdy. I was plump, with a round face and big hips, which made me seem fertile. The Xia family had a single-line inheritance, and concubines were not allowed. The family had a sparse population, so she overruled all objections and proposed marriage to our family. 7 years after we got married, Xiaoyu gave me a divorce letter. He said he didn't have romantic feelings for me. Hearing this, I nodded. Well, that's about what I expected. I and Xiaoyu really didn't seem like a couple who could live together harmoniously. My step-mother suddenly asked, "Did Azu have children?" My elder sister was silent for a moment and then said, "Yes, 3 children, and they all stayed in the Xia family." Shocked, the marinated pig's trotter in my hand dropped onto my elder sister's skirt. The new skirt immediately became greasy and fragrant. Instead of blaming me, my elder sister gently held my not-so-small head. 3 children, let's not talk about them. In the end, under the strict gazes of my step-mother and elder sister, I knelt down and swore that in this life, I would rather marry a pig than marry Xiaoyu, and I would rather go through menopause than give birth to any more children. 3 In the following months, my elder sister took me everywhere with her, avoiding all places where Xiaoyu might appear, but I thought she was overthinking. There was a huge gap between me and Xiaoyu. The young master of the Xia family was a close aide to the emperor, a favored son of heaven, referring to a very outstanding person, and I was a half-legitimate daughter of the Chen family, plain-looking, lazy, and fond of good food. In the past, when we met at banquets, he was always in the spotlight and never looked at me in the corner. Besides, it had been 7 years, and Xiaoyu had said he didn't like me, even if we ran into each other. "So what?" my elder sister said meaningfully. "You're young and don't understand. Although he doesn't like you, it doesn't stop him from sleeping with you for 7 years. When she said this, she snorted, showing more and more disgust towards Xiaoyu. "If he was also reborn, there's a good chance he would harm you again." The matter of being reborn wasn't like growing a pound of meat. It couldn't happen whenever one wanted, and not everyone had this chance. At that time, I scoffed at this idea. On the way, we met some noble ladies who we didn't get along with before. My elder sister, contrary to her usual self, greeted them with a smile. After those noble ladies left, my elder sister sighed. A lifetime is like a big dream, they're all poor souls. But when she heard that a cousin of the Xie family had sent his daughter here, her face darkened. That family was from Jiangnan, and their family fortune had declined. They had the nerve to send their unmarried daughter to the capital, hoping to secure a good marriage. The girl named Shen Qingji was delicate and frail, but her back was straight, as if she had an unyielding spirit, and she looked particularly pitiful. Xiaoyu's mother, being kind-hearted, kept her. My elder sister rolled her eyes but didn't say anything. I wasn't interested in asking either. The spring days were long and the spring scenery was delightful. The good days passed quickly. In a blink of an eye, it was the day my elder sister had been dreading, the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet. I tied a silk ribbon around my waist, and the other end was tightly held by my elder sister. She watched the water clock, calculating the time when I and Xiaoyu had bumped into each other in the previous life. After a while, she let out a long sigh of relief. It seemed that the time had passed. I was really suffocating. The silk ribbon that bound my waist and abdomen was untied. I went to the toilet, and at the corner, I saw a person. The gentleman was as beautiful as jade, so good-looking that it made people forget everything. The moment he saw me, his eyes showed a moment of daze. When I passed by him, he called out to me, "Chenanju, do you love me so much that you can't even look at me?" For I turned back in confusion and met the eyes of that young master. He frowned and said, "Why are you pretending with me? You've deliberately avoided meeting me several times. Isn't it because you don't want to see me like in the previous life? Unfortunately, you didn't get what you wanted." Hearing these words, I suddenly realized, so, this was Xiaoyu. He looked like a celestial being. My elder sister was wrong. It wasn't him who slept with me for 7 years, but me who slept with him for 7 years. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Xiaoyu's voice turned colder. "Do you avoid me like a snake or a scorpion? You don't even want to say a word to me." His clenched hands had whitened knuckles, and his sharp eyes landed on me, filled with dissatisfaction. I really needed to pee, bro, and my elder sister didn't allow me to talk to him. I turned and ran, leaving Xiaoyu behind. He said, "Chenanju, we were husband and wife. Even if I've wronged you, can't we even be friends?" His figure was slender and upright. Standing there, he seemed a bit aggrieved. I really didn't understand what he was up to. Did he really want to be friends with me that much? After returning to the banquet, I truthfully reported the encounter with Xiaoyu. My elder sister crushed the wine cup, sneering. Her murderous gaze penetrated the curtain separating the men's and women's seating areas. On the other side of the curtain, not far away, was a figure in white. It was not difficult to tell that it was Xiaoyu. I buried my head in eating, not daring to breathe. After the banquet had gone on for a while, a woman arrived late. She was as delicate as a willow in the wind. With a graceful bow, she made the men's seating area quiet for a moment. She introduced herself. It was Shen Qingji, the cousin of the Xie family. She was very good at talking and soon won the praise of several noble ladies. Everyone praised her as a talented woman. Shen Qingji quickly said, "When it comes to learning, I can't compare to my cousin at all. I haven't seen my cousin in these days. I've heard in Jiangnan that my cousin is extremely learned and is a rare man in the world. I've always admired him. If I could just see him." Her voice was clear and unhurried. Behind the curtain, the figure in white paused in the action of raising the wine cup. Obviously, these words had reached Xiaoyu's ears. My elder sister snorted, putting on an act. Suddenly, an idea flashed in my mind. Could it be that she was the reason for my divorce from Xiaoyu? 5. This guess was further confirmed when Xiaoyu stopped me and my elder sister. He said, "Chenanju, did you make things difficult for Shen Qingji just now?" "I've already said it has nothing to do with her." Before I could speak, my elder sister had pulled me behind her. She was an excellent actress, and her performance was flawless. With a look of 3 tenths confusion, 3 tenths anger, 3 tenths protectiveness, and 1 tenth fear on her face, she said, "Young Master Xia, how can you directly call my sister by her given name? My sister hasn't gotten married yet. What if her reputation is ruined because of this?" Xiaoyu was taken aback. He had come in a hurry and only then realized that this was not the previous life. His eyes lingered on my face several times, but he could only see the expression of "What on earth is this person doing? Please respect yourself, young Master Xia." With that, my elder sister was about to pull me away. Xiaoyu instinctively reached out to grab my sleeve. I jumped 3 feet away and fled to the other side of my elder sister, hiding behind her like a chick behind an old hen. Xiaoyu's face instantly stiffened. "Do you dislike me touching you so much?" I nodded firmly without hesitation. Xiaoyu said with a sullen face, then those 7 years, sharing the same bed with me, must have been really hard on you. As soon as he finished speaking, my elder sister slapped him across the face. My elder sister said furiously, absurd, young Master Xia, if you continue to slander my sister's reputation like this, I will definitely sue you at the yamen. Xiaoyu's head tilted to one side, presumably, my elder sister had used all her strength without holding back, before Xiaoyu could react. My elder sister and I had taken the opportunity to leave after this incident. Xiaoyu seemed to believe that I wasn't reborn. He sent someone to our house to apologize and present a gift, saying that he had drunk too much that day and his mind was muddled. The gift was a jade bracelet worth 1,000 gold. As expected of the young master of the Xia family, Xiaoyu was really generous, but my elder sister said, bad luck. In the previous life, you gave birth to 3 sons for him, and he never gave you anything. He also said that as the mistress of the Xia family, there were special people to buy you any jewelry you wanted, so he didn't need to give you anything, but then he turned around and bought a lot of things for that cousin. Now he's just pretending. I had someone pawn the bracelet and exchange it for silver. This way, it wasn't bad luck anymore. A few days later, Xiaoyu invited me to meet him again, saying he wanted to apologize in person. Naturally, I didn't agree. My elder sister said, we've accepted young Master Xia's gift, there's no need for an in-person apology, let this matter pass. But Xiaoyu didn't give up. Perhaps he wanted to confirm whether I was reborn or not. When he came to our house again, my elder sister refused to let him in the door. He said, Miss Chen, II, I sincerely want to apologize. Could you please give me the honor of seeing you? My elder sister shouted, young Master Xia, my sister already has someone she likes and has no intention of seeing you. If you continue to affect my sister's reputation for innocence. Xiaoyu's voice suddenly stopped, afraid that he wouldn't believe it. My elder sister continued, that person will come to propose marriage soon. Young Master Xia, please leave quickly. Outside the door, it was quiet for a long time. Before leaving, Xiaoyu said, there's no need to make up such an excuse. If Miss Chen, II, doesn't want to see me, that's fine. I owe you, in the future, if you need any help, I will do my best. This of course didn't refer to those few offensive words a few days ago, it referred to the 7 years in the previous life. After that day, Xiaoyu didn't show up again. My elder sister still wasn't at ease. She dragged our step-mother and really started to look for a man for me. At the same time, in the tea house, people were talking about Xiaoyu and Shen Qingji. Shen Qingji was being molested by hooligans, and by chance, Xiaoyu passed by and saved the beauty. Shen Qingji was so moved that she shed tears and presented him with poems. Xiaoyu pitied the beauty, and in the following days, the two of them were seen together everywhere, attending banquets. As for me, I had met several men one after another, but I didn't take a fancy to any of them. My elder sister, not giving up, asked me what was wrong with them. I couldn't say exactly, but I said they weren't as important as a marinated pig's trotter. Perhaps it was just a matter of not having a connection. After thinking for a few days, my elder sister sent someone to Jiangnan to find a man surnamed Wei. She said that Wei Nanting would come to Wanjing to take the imperial examination and pass it several years later. After I got divorced and lived alone, he happened to live next door and took good care of me. She said that at that time, she had gone to a foreign land with her husband's family and didn't know the details of what happened between me and Wei Nanting. His family background is a bit humble, but if you really like him, I will help you, I replied lackadaisically. I thought he must be a poor scholar, but when the person was really brought in front of me, I was so shocked that my jaw dropped. The meeting place was in a pavilion in the middle of a lake. The person who came was 9 feet tall, wearing a short-sleeved shirt. His exposed arms were muscular, his back was broad, and his waist was narrow. He had a dark and honest smiling face, and when he smiled, a row of shiny white teeth showed. My elder sister, seeing my stunned look, added, the #1 martial arts scholar. After my elder sister said this, she gracefully left, leaving me stunned. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. After a while, Wei Nanting pointed at the empty plate and spoke. He stammered but said something astonishing. Miss Chen, II, you can really eat, you're amazing. It was the first time someone had praised me like this. I smiled shyly. Thank you, I think so. 2. I wanted to grab another piece of pastry but found the plate empty. I withdrew my hand in embarrassment. I drank some tea, touched my bracelet, and then touched my hairpin. Suddenly, a pearl on my hairpin rolled down. I watched as it rolled into the lake. Before I could react, Wei Nanting jumped into the water without hesitation. The sound of him falling into the water was like a huge stone cannonball. The water splashed all over my face. The maidservant panicked and went to find someone. I leaned over the lake, shouting Wei Nanting. Not long after, a hand with distinct joints emerged from the water, firmly grasping the bank. With a whoosh, Wei Nanting emerged from the water like a black fish. He almost bumped into me, who was staring at the lake. His short-sleeved shirt had come loose, and water droplets flowed from his sharp jaw. His bulging pectoral muscles and well-defined abdominal muscles rose and fell slightly. Somehow, it made one blush. I quickly said, "It's okay. If you can't find it, I have a lot of hairpins." Wei Nanting laughed, like a dog asking for praise. He opened his palm, and there was the small pearl. "Here you are." My mind went blank, like a roasted suckling pig exploded in my head. I stared at him dumbly. He seemed more attractive than a marinated pig's trotter. Time seemed to stand still. The maidservants looked on from a distance, not disturbing us. It was at this moment that Xiaoyu appeared. 7 Xiaoyu, awakening from a dream in the rain on the plantain. Thunder rumbled. Xiaoyu suddenly woke up. He covered his chest, listening to the rain outside. He had dreamed of his previous life. He had proposed a divorce. Chenanju didn't pester him. He heaved a sigh of relief. The day after the divorce, he went to pay his respects to his mother as usual, but his mother didn't see him. She was still angry. She had liked Chenanju as a daughter-in-law, but since Xiaoyu had decided on the divorce, it must have been something he had thought about for a long time. With no room for change, Shen Qingji called him over. She was more tender and affectionate than ever, with a blushing face, delicate makeup, and charming eyes. Xiaoyu's heart stirred slightly, but due to his busy official duties, he didn't stay long. He and Shen Qingji were innocent. He had said this to Chenanju when he proposed the divorce. They were confidants, friends, not an assorted relationship. Chenanju's elder sister, Chen Jingxian, had specially written a letter to scold him and Shen Qingji. When the servant delivered the letter to him, he opened it and took a look. The whole letter was full of swear words, and the handwriting was so forceful that it seemed as if it wasn't written by a person who had been ill for a long time. A month after the divorce, Chenanju still hadn't shown up. Xiaoyu had already gotten used to such a life, except that once, when he was changing clothes, he subconsciously called out Chenanju. Naturally, no one responded, and the maidservant didn't dare to either. In the second year after the divorce, Xiaoyu suddenly thought of Chenanju again. This was the 5th time he had thought of her this month. Not much, but it was only the 2nd day of this month. The dishes on the table were very light. This was his dietary preference, different from Chenanju's love for rich and greasy food, not only in diet, but in many other aspects. He and Chenanju were different. They were completely not a match. He frowned and said, "Why is there no marinated pig's trotter? Chenanju won't be able to get enough to eat like this." As soon as he said this, he was stunned himself. Just at this moment, the servant said that Shen Qingji was asking to see him. Xiaoyu subconsciously said, "What does she want?" The servant was a bit puzzled. In the past, whenever Miss Shen came to see Xiaoyu, she didn't need to give a reason, and Xiaoyu would let her in. The servant quickly said, "I'll go and ask Miss Shen." Xiaoyu waved his hand. "Don't ask. Let her go. I'm too busy to see her." These days, Shen Qingji came every 3 days. Naturally, it was nothing important. Either she came to discuss poetry with him or to care about him, to add clothes when it was cold, a beauty adding fragrance to the study, gentle and considerate. If he were to remarry, it should be a woman like her, not someone like Chenanju. He had thought this way before he proposed the divorce, and of course, he still thought so now. When he went out, he heard someone gossiping. The young widow on East Street got married again. Xiaoyu stopped in his tracks. How could a widow get married again? He had never thought that Chenanju might remarry that night. He finally couldn't help but send someone to inquire about Chenanju's recent situation. The servant who came back to report said that Chenanju was no longer in Wangjing. The eldest daughter of the Chen family, who had been living in seclusion in Qingzhou to recuperate for many years, passed away 3 months ago. The second daughter of the Chen family went to mourn. Her neighbor said that the second daughter of the Chen family has no intention of coming back, and she didn't leave alone. Xiaoyu broke the writing brush. She wouldn't come back. That night, he sat until dawn. He couldn't figure it out. Why was Chenanju so heartless enough to not come and see him even once for so long? Heartless enough to abandon even her 3 sons, just leave with someone else like this? No. matter how much she hated him, she was the mother of the children and shouldn't be so cold-hearted. It was all a dream. Fortunately, it was just a dream of the previous life. He wouldn't delay Chenanju anymore, and Chenanju wouldn't hate him either. He didn't believe that Chenanju wasn't reborn. If she wasn't, why would she avoid meeting him again and again? Of course, he had also avoided her unconsciously, with the emotional foundation of the previous life. Although they couldn't be husband and wife, they could be friends, or confidants, just like he and Shen Qingji in the dream. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but curl his lips. The words confidant and Chenanju seemed to have nothing to do with each other, but he was a bit greedy for the way she quietly listened to him while stuffing food into her mouth. Presumably, being confidants and friends with her would be a good experience. But why did he always want to seek her out? The plantain leaf swayed, tick-tock. The rain fell until dawn. At dawn, he decided to look for Chenanju. 8. The blush on my face hadn't dissipated yet. When Xiaoyu saw Wei Nanting, anger suddenly rose in his eyes. He said resentfully, "In the previous life, when I proposed the divorce, you didn't hesitate at all. Did you already have someone else in your heart?" Xiaoyu's eyes were red, as if he had suffered a great deal of emotional pain. But my elder sister had clearly told me that it was he who had fallen in love with someone else. Xiaoyu had married me not out of love. He thought I didn't know how to play the qin, chess, calligraphy, or painting, and couldn't compose poems with him. In the first 2 years, every time we had sex, he looked as if he was going to war, with a very ugly expression. Fortunately, later, he seemed to get used to it, or perhaps he became addicted to it. Xiaoyu and I had 3 sons. In contrast, Shen Qingji was different from me. She seemed to be a wife tailor-made for him, meeting all his expectations. According to my elder sister, I was infatuated with Xiaoyu. The first time I saw Xiaoyu and Shen Qingji drinking under the moon, I sensed something was wrong. Xiaoyu didn't explain anything to me. After the first time, there were the second, third, countless times, sometimes in the plum garden outside the city, sometimes in the poetry club. In short, all elegant places. They were confidants, smiling at each other. They might not have gone that far yet. So, when Xiaoyu proposed the divorce to me, he was very righteous. He said he hadn't done anything to betray me, and neither had Shen Qingji. The two of them were innocent. It was just that he had discovered his true feelings and didn't love me. My 3 sons said that Aunt Shen was more like a lady of a big family than me, and I was really too vulgar. Just like that, I signed the divorce agreement. The day I left the Xia family, no one saw me off. When I heard this, I was very shocked. I couldn't imagine that I would fall in love with someone like Xiaoyu. Could it be that feelings are developed through sleeping together? Then this time, I'll never sleep with him again. At this moment, Xiaoyu still wanted to say something, but I grabbed Wei Nanting and ran. My elder sister said that I could only interact with Xiaoyu in her presence. Since she wasn't there, I naturally couldn't talk to Xiaoyu. Wei Nanting might look big and strong, but he was very obedient and didn't ask a single question. As we ran, he carried me on his shoulder. I pointed the way, and he ran in that direction. I took a moment to look back at Xiaoyu. He was standing there alone, like a discarded dog. Back at the Chen family, my elder sister asked Wei Nanting, "What do you think of my Azu?" Wei Nanting's dark face turned red, looking rustic yet handsome. "Miss Chen, the second, is the best." My elder sister nodded in satisfaction and then carefully questioned him for a long time. She confirmed that he was an orphan, with a clean background, no childhood betrothed wife, no childhood sweetheart, no cousin, and no first love. I was dumbfounded. After getting a satisfactory answer, my elder sister asked Wei Nanting, "In the future, I will use Azu's pocket money to support you. After you pass the imperial examination with honors, you must repay her 1,000 times or even 100 times, whether it's with silver or something else. You two can discuss it yourself." As she spoke, she ordered someone to bring a contract. Before I could react, Wei Nanting had signed and sealed it. After Wei Nanting left, I finally summoned the courage to say, "Sister, I didn't. Ever since he came, you've even forgotten to eat the steamed buns with preserved vegetable and pork filling. What else do I not understand?" I twisted my handkerchief and said, "I just think he's big and strong, with a crispy outer layer. He seems to be very delicious. Could this be the feeling of being in love?" Then in Wei Nanting's eyes, "Am I like a white flour steamed bun?" My elder sister left with an indescribable expression. 9. I thought that someone as aloof looking as Xiaoyu would stop coming after I ignored him, but unexpectedly, he was a bit like a lingering ghost. After my elder sister was reborn, she was very busy, but she no longer focused on needlework, household management, or poetry, qin, and chess. She said that life was only a few decades, and learning these things was a waste of life. She hoarded food, helped children, and also funded a caravan to search for various rare medicinal herbs. My father had some objections at first, but after a long talk with my step-mother and elder sister, he no longer interfered. As for my elder sister's marriage, according to her, in the previous life, she had married the young master of the Wang family. That person, as she had expected, later became a high-ranking official of the third rank. The Wang family came to propose marriage just like in the previous life. I peeked at him from behind the screen. My former brother-in-law was handsome, tall, and learned, but for some reason, my elder sister didn't agree this time. My father politely declined, saying that he still wanted to keep my elder sister by his side for 2 more years. The young master of the Wang family was a bit surprised when he heard this. Before, although my elder sister had her eyes on Xiaoyu, she knew the truth of not putting all her eggs in one basket. Xiaoyu was like the moon in the sky, and it was very likely that she couldn't get him. This young master of the Wang family was my elder sister's first choice. Naturally, the young master of the Wang family didn't only have contact with my elder sister. When he left, there was some reluctance in his eyes. The next day, he invited my elder sister to meet him. My elder sister burnt his letter and asked the servant to convey a message. Just say that I'm too busy to see him. Young Master Wang is a smart person and will naturally understand my meaning. I asked my elder sister if the young master of the Wang family had done something to betray her in the previous life. Unexpectedly, my elder sister shook her head. He didn't do anything to betray me. He gave me the status of a principal wife. He didn't take a concubine until 5 years after I failed to conceive, and he never doted on the concubine and mistreated the wife. It's just that. My elder sister curled the corners of her mouth into a smile. It's just that later I got sick, and he didn't hesitate to send me to Qingzhou to recuperate, and he didn't delay in taking a secondary wife. He really didn't do anything to betray me. He just took every step that was most beneficial to him. Since ancient times, men have seemed to be born knowing that at what time they should make what choices that are beneficial to themselves. I didn't have as many emotions as my elder sister. I only heard the key word: she got sick. My birth mother died in childbirth, and since I was born, I was registered under my step-mother's name. It was said that my birth mother was once my father's childhood sweetheart. Some people gossiped that my step-mother would surely ruin me, but if I could lie in bed for a lifetime, it was something many people couldn't even dream of. If I were more diligent and hard-working, I would just change from being Mrs. Zhang Chen to Mrs. Li Chen or Mrs. Xia Chen, bearing fruits for others and letting others pick them. Since I was young, my elder sister had protected me. I didn't have big ambitions and was already very content. I cried loudly, burying my face in my elder sister's sleeve. My elder sister said, "What are you crying for? It's not an incurable disease. Do you not know whether I married Wei Nanting because you died early?" My elder sister didn't expect me to be so smart and was immediately speechless. In the end, she compromised and said that this life she would definitely take good care of herself and not get sick again. I blew my nose on her sleeve and looked at her accusingly. She coaxed me for a long time and finally reluctantly took me to the largest restaurant in Wangjing. After a full meal, she took me to pick jewelry. I wore a peony-shaped hairpin and then, reluctantly, put on a smile again. "Do I look good?" As soon as I turned around, I saw Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu's eyes landed on my face. Today, he was wearing a plain white long gown, with a jade crown on his head, and his jet black hair was neatly combed. He looked more refined and handsome than the previous 2 times I saw him. After a moment of daze, surprise, and pride appeared in his eyes. "Chenanju, no matter how hard you try, I won't marry you this life." Before he could finish speaking, I bumped into him and said, "You're in the way." He staggered from being hit by me but didn't get angry. He looked at me with some helplessness, as if he thought I was throwing a tantrum because I had lost face. My elder sister pulled me to her side, sneered, and glanced at Xia Yu coldly. "Young Master Xia, we have something to do. We'll take our leave first." My elder sister didn't want to pay attention to him and pulled me away, but looking at Xiaoyu, for some reason, a sudden burst of anger rose in my heart. Why could he be reborn with my elder sister? The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. Finally, in Xiaoyu's astonished eyes, I punched him in the face. Xiaoyu staggered and fell like a white butterfly. His hand landed on the broken teacup, and blood immediately appeared, but he seemed not to notice. just looking at me in disbelief. "Chinanju, how could you hit me?" What answered him was my next heavy punch. The emotions that had just been soothed by my elder sister exploded like a boiling boiler. "Why, my elder sister died young. And what about him? Did he live to be 70 or 80 with the 3 children?" I usually ate a lot and was also very active. I wasn't just fat for nothing. I straddled Xiaoyu and punched him with all my strength. Soon, Xiaoyu didn't have the energy to speak. The servants of the Xia family were blocked outside the crowd by my elder sister and the maidservants. After a long time, my elder sister came to pull me up. Okay, young Master Xia didn't mean it either." I stood up and left. Xiaoyu called my name with difficulty. He had a black and blue face, his hair was messy, and he looked extremely miserable, but I had to say that he had a good-looking face, and at this moment, he had a unique charm. Unfortunately, I didn't like such a skinny and dry-looking person. "Chinanju, do you hate me so much because you still love me?" "It's just hatred born from love." I turned around and kicked him. "I don't know you well." Xiaoyu blinked when he heard this, looking at me with a smile, as if he had seen through my tough talk. My elder sister sized him up and sneered. She said, "Young Master Xia, have you received the letter I sent from Qingzhou?" Xiaoyu was stunned for a moment and then suddenly widened his eyes. He was so intelligent that he naturally understood. It was my elder sister who was reborn, not me. Only then did he confirm that I wasn't the Mrs. Xia Chen who had spent 7 years with him, not the Chinanju who had given birth to 3 sons for him. Now we were just 2 strangers. I was only annoyed by his harassment. My elder sister and I walked a long way, and Xiaoyu was still sitting on the ground in a daze. 11 That night, I had a very strange dream. In the dream, I got married. The small sedan chair swayed all the way to the Xia family. The young master of the Xia family was as elegant as an orchid, with a bright future. All the women envied me. Even my elder sister said that I had married well. I wasn't very happy, just felt it was troublesome. But if I didn't marry, I would ruin the reputation of the Chen family, affect my elder sister's marriage, and also implicate my step-mother to be gossiped about. Forget it. Then I'll marry. On the wedding night, the most handsome man in Wanjing, as rumored, stood in front of me. I hadn't looked at him carefully before. Now that I did, I could see that he was really good looking, but he was a bit too thin and too pale, like boiled chicken breast, dry and tasteless, definitely not very delicious. Xiaoyu's cold eyes glanced at me indifferently and said, "This marriage wasn't my wish. In the future, I'll give you the honor of being Mrs. Xia, but don't expect anything else." Crazy. If it wasn't your wish, why didn't you make it clear to your mother? I rolled my eyes and fell asleep. Xiaoyu, who was standing by the window, was surprised for a moment but then climbed onto the bed and slept with me. However, as we slept, his hand touched my waist. "You need to give birth to the Xia family's offspring as soon as possible." One moment he said he didn't like me, and the next he wanted to have a baby with me. My elder sister always said I wasn't very smart. I really wasn't, because I really couldn't understand Xiaoyu's way of thinking. Forget it, I had to have children anyway. I took the initiative and pressed Xiaoyu onto the bed. What happened later could only be described as uninteresting. His bones were poking me. He was indeed as tasteless as chicken breast. When I forced him to submit, Xiaoyu blushed, as if he wanted to say I was shameless, but on this bed, I wasn't the only one being shameless. He was angry and ignored me for a full 6 months. Fortunately, Mother Xia had good eyes. I was very fertile and got pregnant right away. Xiaoyu and I maintained a polite relationship. Although he was cold, he wouldn't make things difficult for me. I had a good life, but others didn't think so. They thought I must be very painful, because I had lost my husband's love right after getting married. The turning point in my relationship with Xiaoyu was when I happened to save him from being forced to drink alcohol in a restaurant, and he repaid me with his body. Me, just like that. I was pregnant with the second child. The difference was that this time he took extra good care of me, really like a father-to-be. He was also like many fathers, having a female confidant, Shen Qingji, and he would meet in front of my eyes to compose poems, drink wine, and have a good time. I didn't care. The first time I saw them, I even felt a bit embarrassed, as if I had interrupted their elegant time. I left in a hurry, but Xiaoyu seemed to have misunderstood and thought I was jealous of him. "You are the mistress of the Xia family, you should be magnanimous," he said righteously. "Qingji and I are innocent, you shouldn't be so disrespectful to her." He apologized to Shen Qingji on my behalf and sent her many valuable gifts. When Mother Xia found out, she called Xiaoyu over and scolded him. Turning around, Xiaoyu took this grudge out on me. He came into my room late at night and tossed me around. I was extremely puzzled, whether it was a reward or a punishment. It was always this same thing. Was this some kind of gold inlaid wolf tooth club? Time passed like this. Xiaoyu was clingy, annoying, and had a sensitive temper. He would turn cold at every turn. The 3 children were just like him. They knew their father was powerful and competed to imitate him and win his favor. Sometimes I wanted to say something, but I was always interrupted by Xiaoyu and Mother Xia. Forget it. Anyway, they all had the surname Xia. Without me, there were plenty of people to teach them. I thought this kind of life would last until I died, but I didn't expect that as Shinqingji and Xiaoyu got closer and closer, everything changed. Xiaoyu finally seemed to have made up his mind to divorce me, the wife he didn't like from the beginning. That was really great. It was like I had been in prison for 30 years and was suddenly released. The day I left, I ate 30 marinated pig's trotters. The people at the next table were dumbfounded. At this time, a person came over and said with a smile, "Does the girl still remember me, that year? When I was on my way to the capital to take the imperial examination, I almost starved to death. You gave me a marinated pig's trotter. I slept until the sun was high in the sky. After waking up, I carefully recalled the plot in the dream. Xiaoyu was really annoying. Wei Nanting was really delicious. 12. Wei Nanting was very competitive. He passed the imperial examination as the top martial arts scholar 2 years earlier. The day he became the top martial arts scholar, he managed to avoid the chaotic situation of being chased by families trying to marry him off right after the results were announced and came to my house. My father had already made preparations. He glanced at me behind the screen and said, "This matter also depends on the will of my Anju." I shyly nodded vigorously at my father. My elder sister pulled me out from behind the screen. When Wei Nanting saw me, his face also turned red. One of us was dark-skinned and red-faced, and the other was fair-skinned and red-faced. We were quite a match. I saw Wei Nanting off. When we were about to part, I secretly pulled his hand. It was so hot, like a freshly cooked bear's paw. I couldn't help it and secretly touched his butt. It was so perky, perkier than a chicken's butt. Before I could put away the lewd smile on my face, I met someone's eyes. Xiaoyu stared at me with wide eyes. He seemed to have run over. His jade crown was crooked, his hair was disheveled, and he was panting. He glared angrily and demanded, "Chenanju, what are you doing?" Before I could speak, Wei Nanting spoke first. "It's not you she's touching, mind your own business." As he spoke, he put my hand, which I had retracted guiltily, back on his butt. How presumptuous. My face turned bright red. Xiaoyu's lips trembled, and he seemed on the verge of collapse. "Chenanju, have you really changed your heart? How could you treat me like this?" I didn't pay attention to Xiaoyu. After saying goodbye to Wei Nanting, I closed the door in front of Xiaoyu's face, shutting out his devastated face. That night, Xiaoyu actually climbed over the wall and came in. The dignified young master of the Xia family, a person who always valued his appearance the most, actually climbed over the wall. The person in the moonlight stared at me intently. The bright moon was high in the sky, and the night breeze was cool. Xiaoyu said, "I should have realized it earlier. Chenanju, you don't remember me, so you're so heartless as to not come to see me for so long. You don't remember me, so you're willing to use another man to anger me and willing to be so cruel to me." I listened, dumbfounded, and forgot to chew on the chicken feet. There was still a marinated pig's trotter hidden in my quilt. When I heard the footsteps earlier, I thought it was my elder sister coming to catch me for a midnight snack. Xiaoyu continued, "It's good this way. If you had the memories of the previous life, you would surely resent me. It's better to start over. Now, it's not too late. In this life, we can start anew. I can marry you again. This time, we won't divorce." I was stunned and said, but I'm not planning to marry you." Xiaoyu froze in place. I said sincerely, "I really don't like you." 13. Xiaoyu's eyes suddenly lost their luster. His thin lips were tightly pursed, and his face turned a bit pale. He took a few steps forward, grabbed my wrist, and shook his head. "I don't believe it. In the previous life, you loved me deeply. We treated each other with respect and had 3 children." I scratched my head and asked, "Then why did we get divorced in the end?" Xiaoyu's voice became hoarse, and regret flashed in his eyes. "I was too naive. I thought a wife should be erudite and talented so that we could have a harmonious relationship, but I didn't know that a woman's lack of talent is a virtue, and a woman who cooks for her husband and stays by his side is the one who really knows how to live a life. I didn't really stay by your side much. It was you who always came to find me." But I didn't have the nerve to say this. I was afraid he would cry on the spot. Xiaoyu frowned and asked, "Did you hear something about me from your elder sister?" I shook my head. I didn't want to talk to him anymore and directly shouted loudly, "Someone, catch the rogue." Xiaoyu's eyes widened in an instant. The servants rushed over when they heard the sound. How could the pampered young master of the Xia family outrun a group of servants in the end? Xiaoyu was embarrassed, pressed to the ground. The Xia family sent many gifts to apologize. They all ended up in my elder sister's hands. She said she would keep them for me first, if it became my dowry. After I got married, Wei Nanting would also have a share. If he wasn't a good person, it would be a loss. I listened, confused, and habitually nodded obediently. My elder sister sighed and said, "With your temperament, you really should be paired with someone who has more thoughts." "Except for Xiaoyu," I said. "Wei Nanting doesn't have many thoughts either." My elder sister smiled and didn't refute. I didn't see Xiaoyu again later. I heard that he was punished by Mother Xia to be confined at home and reflect. Unexpectedly, Shen Qingji suddenly came to look for me. She was still as delicate and tenacious as before. Her oval face was exactly 2 sizes smaller than mine. "Miss Chen, the second, I came to find you just to say a few words to you." I agreed. My elder sister only said not to pay attention to Xiaoyu. But she didn't say not to pay attention to Shen Qingji. She was satisfied and took me to a tea house. When I was cracking melon seeds, she took a sip of tea. When I was eating mung bean cakes, she took a sip of tea. When I was eating grapes, she took a sip of tea. Sure enough, some thin people were thin for a reason. "Miss Chen, the second, you're actually a smart person. You know that cousin is just interested in you for a while. If you agree to him, he'll soon get tired of you and then realize that you're not the one he really wants. What he wants is still a woman who can compose poems with him and share common interests." I looked at her in shock. She actually knew all this. She really was a talented woman. Perhaps my amazement was too obvious, and Shen Qingji's momentum weakened a lot. "Ahem, I didn't come to find you for any other reason. I just want you to see this clearly and not fall head over heels for him, otherwise, it will be a loss if you get divorced a few years later." I thought for a while and said, "Then do you want to marry Xiaoyu?" My straightforward words made Shen Qingji freeze for a moment. "You're so straightforward. I just want to remind you, I have no other intentions." I chewed on the pastry and asked in confusion, "And, a cousin has no right to meddle in a cousin-in-law's marriage, right? Or, are you the one the Xia family has secretly chosen?" She quickly interrupted me. "Don't talk nonsense. I'm innocent with cousin. I'm just here to remind you out of kindness." Ed. I racked my brains to recall the ending of Shen Qingji in the previous life in my dream, but in the end, I got nothing. I went to Qingzhou with Wei Nanting and settled down in the place where my elder sister had once lived. Many years later, I received a letter from the capital. The handwriting was Xiaoyu's, but the paper was yellowed, as if it had been written a long time ago. As for the content of the letter, it roughly said, "Several times during the night rain, he thought of me and wanted to come and see how I was doing, but he never had the time. There were water bandits in the south, and he had to go and suppress them first. If I was still there, I would surely bid him farewell with deep affection and prepare enough food for him." Of course, his words were a bit too affectionate. Wei Nanting was a bit jealous after reading it and made me work hard all night. Along with the letter came a message from Mother Xia. She said this was what Xiaoyu wanted to give me but never had the chance to send. I suddenly realized that Xiaoyu might have been dead at that time. I slapped my head and suddenly understood. So, only those who died early could be reborn. Then Shen Qingji should have married someone else. Shen Qingji left with a black face. After leaving the private room of the tea house, we met again at the entrance of the toilet. Her face turned red, and she looked a bit awkward. I burped loudly. 14. Ending. The day I got married to Wei Nanting, my elder sister gave me 18 handsome servants. Wei Nanting married into my family, so, life didn't change much after marriage. I just ate more. After all, I had more physical exertion, but unexpectedly, Wei Nanting didn't want me to have children. He said my birth mother died in childbirth when she had me, and he was worried. I patted my chest and told him that I was probably fertile. He gritted his teeth and asked me how I was so sure. I said I had 3 children in my dream, but quality wasn't guaranteed. Wei Nanting asked me who I had the children with. I immediately shut up, but he actually saw something. He might be a bit smarter than I thought. This guess was further confirmed in the following years. His official position got higher and higher, much more powerful than in the previous life. Some people said that since he was already a great general, Why was he still a son-in-law who married into the wife's family? He should immediately change back to his original surname and re-establish his family. That night, Wei Nanting stood by the bedside of the person who was gossiping, holding a big knife. If you make my wife misunderstand me, you'll have to pay with your head. Then no one dared to say anything anymore. At that time, my elder sister had become a famous businesswoman. She traveled far and wide and lived the life she wanted. Her body, which had been damaged by childbirth in the previous life, was extremely healthy this life. As for Xiaoyu, he volunteered to go to Qingzhou. Before he left, he came to look for me. The rain was pleasant to hear. He stood under the eaves not far away and watched me for a long time. He said that in his previous life, he died 3 years after our divorce. He took on the task of suppressing the water bandits. Those water bandits were about to approach Qingzhou. He went without hesitation and then died by the river outside Qingzhou city. He didn't see me one last time. Actually, I already knew this. In fact, Mother Xia had come to look for me. Her son suddenly changed and always came to look for me. Naturally, she noticed something strange. She accepted the fact of rebirth and quickly found out what had happened to Xiaoyu. She said that her son was arrogant and it was only natural for him to stumble in love, but she never expected him to fall so miserably. I didn't think it was miserable. There were many people worse off than him. He just couldn't accept that I left so freely. The clouds rolled and the clouds scattered. Wei Nanting and I spent the spring and autumn together. We never heard from Xiaoyu again.